Awesome.
Good. Awesome. Well, nice to meet you finally.
Yeah, you too. This is going to be an interesting interview from I read all of the stuff that you sent me and
Yeah.
it's fascinating. So I'm going to I'm recording right now. I can do a quick introduction real quick,
Okay.
but really this interview is going to be about you and all the information that you have to share, which is fascinating. You sent me a couple of emails. I read all of it. It sounds like you've been through hell in life for thousands of lifetimes, thousands of years, maybe millions of years or billions of years. And I feel pretty
Yes,
fortunate to
unfortunately.
be interviewing you. So,
Yes.
all right. Well, without any further introduction, well, I'm gonna let's see. What name would you like to go by?
Courtney.
Courtney. Okay,
Yes.
everybody, welcome to the Conspiracy Cafe. I'm going to be interviewing a very fascinating individual. Her name is Courtney. At least that's her name in this lifetime.
Right.
But she has been through thousands of lifetimes. She may very, in fact, be Thoth, um, Mary, the Virgin Mary, right?
Mary Magdalene, yeah.
Mary Magdalene, um, and and a bunch of other
Which
people that we're going to talk about. Odin. Um,
I'm not Odin.
no, not Odin. Okay, so I'm getting confused. I'm going to let
It's
you
okay.
talk
It's
about it.
okay.
But this might very well be the most important video and interview I've ever done, and that you, as the audience, may ever hear. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome, Courtney.
Hi. Hi, how are
So,
you?
Courtney, um, go ahead and just tell me
Start
as
with the
long
beginning.
as it takes in about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know. I'm
Okay.
not going to interrupt you. I want to let you speak as long as you need to. And just go ahead and fill the audience in on what has been happening with you and the entire backstory. And then I'll be listening, and I might even pick up my phone and write down questions to ask you as we're going
Okay.
through this. So
Okay.
go ahead.
So we could start with is the earliest that I know they found my body, so I can give kind of a reference to who I am. The Tuscany princess they found in Russia in 1969. They say she's 800 million years old. Um, that's the oldest body they found. But they found my body all over. They just recently found Bassett. They say she's 80,000 years old in one of the tombs. But we can go. Now, I will tell you, my memories have been wiped. So what I know, I know. And, without bringing us to this point, how I figured it all out. But again, starting with going back to, I would be Sophia Wisdom. And I can tell you how all that how and again going back to how I figured it all out by the people that were in my life, which goes back to Zeus, Odin, and Medusa, because they are how I referenced all this, because they're my family. Everyone comes from me. So
Let me ask you something.
sure.
In the emails that you sent,
Hmm.
and I read through them, you reference being um having like a body that's dead now. Now, in your current body that you're in this lifetime, and I know you said you're in your early 50s,
Yeah.
you inhabit one body per lifetime. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And so
And
some of these bodies that you talk about that you've had that have been cut up, destroyed, burned, dipped in acid, the powers
hmm
that be, the Illuminati, they're trying to destroy you and your bloodline because you said you're walking through their karma. So if you could, I would say start at the earliest known existence of who you were in your first body and then explain from there, your different lifetimes that you've had, as much as you can recall.
okay, so I go by what history and then what I know to be true, because history has been erased and rewritten. So, for example, I would have been originally Tiamat, the white dragon, which is kind of crazy. And the earth is actually my body. The oil in the earth is my blood. It's
Yeah,
very
you've said
Yeah.
that, and that's pretty interesting. So we,
Hmm.
and you also believe, like I do, that we live in a flat,
Hmm. Oh yeah.
expansive plane.
Hmm.
And so the earth being your body, is that like figuratively, or you are the sole essence of the earth, and then this earth is your body, basically? Let
Yeah.
me ask you then,
Yeah.
as far as the earth being a flat plane, the Antarctic ice wall, allegedly surrounding us in this dome main,
Right.
uh, how is it an infinite expanse with an infinite number of like Earth-like ponds everywhere with its own suns and moons circulating overhead and star systems? Is that like a timepiece? And explain that a little bit.
So there is a lot to that. And like I said, my memories have been wiped, but I do know that the ice wall was created by them. They actually used technology to create the ice wall. It wasn't always like that. It was once one land, and they've split us up, because you got to remember, they've wiped us out in this civilization six times. This is the third civilization. So when I mentioned being the Tuscany princess, that was before even the dinosaurs. They say dinosaurs, which were really dragons. So it's really dragons, not dinosaurs. But um, that was a long time ago, and we were all one. It was one land, and they have broken us up and destroyed this earth many, many times. And there's many outer lands beyond the ice wall. Um, but they created that ice wall with technology. They boxed us in. I don't know if it was to keep us in, or if it was to keep something from coming out from out there coming in. I don't have the memories to remember, but my theory is there's some creatures that I made that they did not want to, that would have actually destroyed Zeus. I think there's some mythology stories about a typhoon that I made, the Leviathan, and few things that are past the ice wall that have not been on this side. And that was created to take out Zeus for a reason. So my theory is he boxed us in with the ice wall to keep them out and keep us as prisoners here. That's my theory. But there's
What
a
about
lot.
the sun, moon, and stars? It seems like if we're in some kind of a dome and that's got a base ice wall around it, is that really just time? Is that basically a timepiece that we're in, or is it what is that mechanism? It seems like it's localized right over our dome, right over our heads. And
So
I
the
guess out there there'd be even more stars and suns and moons.
So the theory is there is, and even in this dome right now, there's actually three. Two of them are not real suns. There's three of them right now. You knew that? Did you know that? I don't know if you knew that the sun we
Well,
have
I
now
have
is
been seeing a lot of information about the fake suns that they've put up there because
right.
something's wrong with the real sun. And the real sun normally was yellow, and then some of these fake suns are white light. And I was going to
So
ask you about
Elon,
moonlight. Oh, go
so
ahead. I don't want to interrupt you.
Elon Musk um, shot three rockets into the real sun on April 8th. So that's what's wrong with the sun. It's actually, yeah. So
Do
why
you know
he
why
did
he
that?
did that?
To destroy the sun, because it's the Christ consciousness. It's connected to me. So going back to when I was John the Baptist and they chopped my head off, that's when the world was plunged into darkness. That's when the dark ages happened. And they actually had my head for quite a while. And then when I was able to reincarnate, that's when the sun came back out. But and again, like I said, I don't have memories. I just know what I know. As far as the moon, this moon is not the natural moon. There was once a moon, and they cut it in half. My theory is that's what they're using as the black sun underneath us as a magnet. That's they're And again, I don't know how it all works, because I know it's Freemasonry how they're doing the magnet with the black moon, to using um the
Toroid
pyramids.
energy. Uh-huh.
Yes, using the pyramids, and they're doing that, and they are actually controlling the they're controlling the sun and the moon now. I don't They weren't always doing that. I don't know how they did it, but this is technology. using a lot of technology that was never around before. But again, some technology we had AI thousands of years ago and it was wiped out, and now they got it back hooked up. So that's what they're using again. So anyway.
It seems like they've been slowly preparing us for the AI
Hmm.
invasion. And,
Hmm.
I use AI now for certain things like filmmaking and to find answers. I use Meta AI. I mean, I think there's things that you can use it for positive, but then it can also be used against us to destroy us and the whole job market. But, as well as I do, probably that the financial system is a big fraud, and
Absolutely.
our birth certificate bonds are, what we're held as surety for, as far as the government controlling us and holding us as collateral in jails. In fact, I'm not fighting, I'm suing the Brevard County jail system and the board of directors. So that's another topic.
Yeah.
And just remember, when this 40-minute video cuts off, I'm gonna go in, I'm gonna make another meeting, I'm gonna send you a link, then we'll start up again and record. And probably while I'm doing that, I'm gonna download this recording, because I'm gonna save all these recordings that we make tonight and make them one nice, smooth, seamless video.
Sure.
So, all right, well, let's get back to starting at Tiamat.
Okay.
And as your first incarnation, you call Tiamat the White Dragon. Is that
Right.
literal? Is that a white dragon that roamed the earth, or what?
Well, so my theory is, and again, I'm going by what I know to be true, not by memories. I believe it was I was swimming, and a lot of this was ocean, a lot of ocean. Um, I bring up Tiamat because they say that there's a mythology story about, I can't remember if it's Mohammed or Marduk. I think it's Marduk that cut me in half. But when I'm going back to Tiamat, I do know that Yaldabaoth, which is Donald Trump, which would be Adam, which would be Kronos, who changed his name to Zeus, same person. I got pregnant, and there's the story about Sophia having a baby out of, not having and you know that story, right? About Sophia getting pregnant, and the Aeons got mad because I didn't have a partner. Well, what had happened to me was something rubbed up on me when I was swimming. My theory is, because this is a third civilization, if you go back a long time in Hinduism, I know civilization was wiped out twice prior to this one. There were snake people called the Nagas, and Barack Obama is the one. He's the one that rubbed up on me. I got pregnant. I initially had my body rejected it, and I had a miscarriage. It was still an egg. And there's a mythology story about Dagon, the fish god, which would be Donald Trump. Same story. Who is Yaldabaoth? Who is Zeus? Sorry, I've got it's so much that it's
It's
like,
okay. You don't have to
anyway.
apologize. It's a lot.
So
This
I
is,
had a miscarriage. My
I'm
body
here to take your
rejected.
testimony so that we can get all this down on the record, so that it can get
Yeah,
out into the public, so that people can hear the story and,
right,
and judge it however they wish. But
right.
I've been putting myself in a position like this so that because I've been reaching out to the whole World Wide Web, trying to get whistleblowers to come forward, people with unique stories to come forward. And then, when you contacted me, it all sounded very sane and lucid and clear, and not like you're making anything up. And, who is anybody to judge anything? The world is so out of control,
Right,
awesome,
right.
wild,
This is
crazy,
crazy.
that,
Hmm.
why question anything? I'd rather just, instead of judging it, get the information, put it out there, and then, and we're going to learn something tonight. So
Right.
I'm
So
excited.
I bring Sophia and Tiamat because there's two stories. There's one about Sophia having a baby out of wedlock, or not having a partner, and then Tiamat. But I was Tiamat. I was a white dragon. And when my body rejected it, it was an egg. The mythology story is that it got swallowed by a mermaid and then became Dagon, the fish god, which would be the Draconian Draco. which would be Donald Trump. That's his original form. And then you got a story after that, that Adam, which is really Zeus, who then raped me, Eve, which would be Freya. See, again, that the names, because every story's been swapped from another story because they just mixed everything. Would have he's raped me, cursed Cain's bloodline, which would be Odin. So there's a lot. And then you go back to so bringing all that. Okay, so my belief is that 13,000 years ago, before the pole shift in this lifetime, started in Helsinki, Finland. And I believe that there's a Garden of Eden there. Was when there was no seasons. I didn't create seasons. And this is the thing. I don't remember anything from any civilization before this. I just know that there was. So let me start with my eye was taken. And I think that is what blocks me from being in the spirit and knowing really what's going on. Not to mention Stranger Things is based off of me. So they did a lot of things to me as a child in this lifetime and in my previous lifetime. So it's almost like they re-engineered God's brain and they figured out how to make these space agencies off of me, but I don't have any memory of it. So I say that to say that they're in the beginning, things were not like this. They've changed the earth. They've changed everything. Like I said, the moon is not our moon. That is some type of base that they brought over here to watch us, or us. I don't know what's on the base. I've heard lots of different things that I
Some
don't know.
people claim it's a soul catching or part of a reincarnation program.
It does have a soul catcher. And you were going to ask me about death, but once we die, we were supposed to reincarnate instantly. Now they changed it to where we go through the soul catcher and it wipes our memories so that we don't have any memories. We've been reincarnating for a very, very long time. Those of us with old souls. Now, there are new people that are new souls that have not been here, but not very many. But most of us have been here, and even the other civilizations, we just don't remember them.
You know, in the Bible, it says in the first paragraph of Genesis that God said, "Let there be light." And in my opinion, that means he created the photons and the electrons and the light wave. And then he made things solid and created a firmament of waters between the waters, a firmament amidst the depths of the waters, so that there's waters above us, above the firmament, and then below earth there's waters below us, and we're in the middle, and that expanse goes out, indefinitely. Do you have any idea what's above the firmament and below the firmament? Would that be hell, or is there a hell? And I know you said there's a heaven, that this is heaven.
This would be the kingdom of heaven. But again, everything was flipped upside down on us. I believe a pole shift happened. And it's so hard to explain. So hell is more of a frame of mind, but do I believe that there's a Tartarus, or there's Tartaria, and then there's a Tartarus. Tartarus is where they were supposed to be prisoned, the ones that had already died, and they were there. How they found their way back through was by what they're doing now is sacrificing the soul and taking over these bodies.
When they sacrificed the soul, did they just send the soul to like some other place where they can't reincarnate, or are they ghosts, disembodied ghosts that are trapped here that can't get into a body? Or do they go maybe to the center of this earth mass and go down where the magnetic center is, down into underneath lower earth? Or what's your opinion?
My theory is they're holding them prisoner somewhere, and I do not know. My belief is Tartarus. They're stuck in Tartarus against their free will.
What about the CERN and its tie into Stranger Things and you? I'd say it seems like CERN is doing, at the Hadron Collider, they're crashing photons into each other to open up to see what the Higgs boson God particle is. And in Stranger Things, it appears that they have actually opened up that doorway in that show, and they're allowing the down under world to come into and bleed into our what's normal world. What do you think about that?
There's a lot to that. First of all, CERN, when they turned on CERN in 2012, um, it was supposed to, okay, so you know about the Mayan calendar, the end of the world. Well, what it really was is the end of Christ consciousness. They actually used it to try to kill me. It ended up giving me a full-blown stroke, and I walked through dimensions. I don't know. I mean, I literally, this is the thing. My womb, me being who I am by default, I can walk through dimensions just by, even in this realm, we're still, because everything is connected. Um, but I had a full-blown stroke, and I had no vitals, and they were all saying she's walking around dead. Um, yeah, it was very interesting. But my theory was they were trying to kill the Christ consciousness, me, hoping I would die, and then collapse the underworld into this realm, so that so that they could just take over. At the time, 2012, when Obama was in office, the vaccines were already prepared. They were already prepared to do all of this to take over. And my theory is, by walking through the dimensions that I did, it gave us some time to figure this out. Now, they kind of planned this, but see, they were supposed to do this in 2012. That was their goal. That's the Mayan calendar. It was supposed to end the Christ consciousness, and it would end and brought all realms into one. The underworld, which is above us now. The underworld is now above us
Yeah, that's
and
kind of
in the
interesting.
ocean. Yeah.
Yeah, ooh, yeah. The ocean, there's so much. Well, for the common layman, there's so much unexplored world, the oceans, the skies. We don't really know
Mhm.
anything unless we're in a secret society. And I was going to ask um, about the underworld as far as ghosts and other dimensions and the Mandela effect. What do you think is responsible for the Mandela effect?
There's a couple theories. I know it has a lot to do with CERN and them changing dimensions or timelines, I guess you'd say, which is dimensions to me. But it also, I think they're going back and changing things because they can, to mess with us.
So time
A lot of
travel.
time travel is definitely real. Yes, and they can do that, and they can change things. And my theory is that's what they're doing, is changing things because they can. Everything they do is magic and witchcraft, and I mean that's their.
So
Does it
physical
have a
time
point? I don't
travel,
know.
like I guess they would have. Would they use? Do you know what the mechanisms are? Do they use portals? Do they have a machine? I mean,
Machine.
jump rooms like what Andrew Basiago talks about? What's your theories on that?
Well, I know Trump has been using a time machine. I know he's got a time machine in his and in this place in New York. I know that, and that was the all the technology they stole from Nikolai Tesla. His uncle stole all that equipment and that technology, and they used that. I know he did this because he went back in time to try to change the record and documents and witness accounts of my crucifixion back in 70 AD. And change, and he's also they're able to do a lot of things. They can inject memories into people that aren't theirs. They can change, they can make people think that they are different people that they are not. I have people tell me all the time that they're me, but they aren't me. And I don't have the memories. And my theory is that some of the memories they can take from me and inject them, because they've stolen all my memories. They've wiped my memories, and where they are, I don't know. I know there's a movie called Dark Knight. I don't know if you've ever seen it, with Kiefer Sutherland, but it's about what they can do to you. They can steal your memories, give other people their memories, and they can move you around at night and put you in different places and things like that. They can do all that. It's
I
crazy what
haven't
they can
seen
do.
that, but I'd be interested in seeing it. Kind of like
It's an excellent
the
movie.
adjustment, like the Adjustment Bureau. You ever see that movie?
Yes, yes, it's similar to that.
Dark
Hmm.
Knight. Is it recent?
Dark Knight with Kiefer Sutherland. You're going to want to see that. It's very, very.
I like
It's
Kiefer
it's
Sutherland. I worked with Kiefer Sutherland and met him on the show Touch in Los Angeles. I was working on that as an extra, and we were doing a scene with him, and he was really cool. He talked to a couple of us in the parking lot afterwards, and he's got this voice that in real life, I was on set with him. I swear, we had a whole block closed down in LA. Like we had the whole block we were shooting there. We had to shoot a stunt scene with a lady who gets hit by a cab and dies on the street. But his voice penetrates, and I've never heard anything like it. It's just this echoing, deep boom. He can whisper and you can hear it for blocks. It's just an amazing thing. He seems superhuman as a person. And I would imagine he's kind of some type of being that we don't really understand. He's not just Kiefer Sutherland, the actor.
right, right. There's a lot of different beings, by the way, a lot. I don't know if you know anything about the homuncubuses. Okay, they're the Cabbage Patch Babies. Once they wiped us out, because they've wiped us out 6 times, and they repopulated the earth with them. And they were actually starting to do that in Egyptian days. And I was, like I said, I
I mean, like
remember
that
all
when
of
they
his.
wiped out the Tartarian Empire and they had the baby factories like
That
that.
that's what they
Is
are,
that
basically the baby factories. It's the Cabbage Patch Babies, and they were growing them. They were growing them, and they're, yeah. So
in
it's.
incubators and they were having fairs and carnivals. I've seen a lot of information
Mhm.
about how a lot of these churches and synagogues weren't originally churches and synagogues. They were part of the electromagnetic free energy system during the Tartarian Empire. And then there was the great mud flood that destroyed
Right,
everything. And since then, they've been digging their way out of it and converting them from free energy because they want to use oil, I guess, to suppress us and our financially. And then they just turn them into synagogues, churches,
more
big buildings, and banks,
moss, right.
and then they're just controlling us and lying to us and about everything.
Right. Actually, the cathedrals were with the bells. They were frequency centers to hear for for healing our bodies, and they took all our bells away. And yeah, so
All our
they
bells
weren't.
and whistles were taken away.
Right, right, right. They don't like the loud sounds. They literally want us to live in an aquarium.
Which
That's why
I
they've
think is
changed the
what we are
sun.
living in. We're
I
basically
know.
in an
I
aquarium.
know.
And
Right. That's what they
size
want.
is relative. Size is so relative. Like, we might just be some microscopic organism compared to the beings that are above us, above the firmament or whatever. And we're just these little creatures running around. That's why I've started to think that life isn't really that sacred because they've been perpetuating wars forever, killing us randomly, using us for experiments, destroying life as we know it. And it's just, I'm just wondering if this is heaven, how do we regain control? And you said something about how the 13 bloodlines, the 13 Illuminati families, there are beings above them that are really controlling everything. And how do we get to them?
Well, actually, it's okay. So you got the 13 bloodlines, but you got the Orsini's, which are the top, the Medicis, and the Rothschilds, which is the Borgias. It's really the Orsini's and the Medicis, which is Donald Trump, who is Pepe Orsini. So he's the beginning, and then you've got Elon Musk, which is Jacob Rothschild. And then you've got Barack Obama, who is Catherine D. Medici. But you had mentioned the uh, the beings up and above us. The truth is, we were once giants. We were giants, and they somehow, when they wiped us out 6 times, they somehow, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids us. I don't know if it was a nitrogen bomb, a hydrogen bomb, and they blew all of us up. And Atlantis got dropped into the either the ocean. My theory is the inner Earth is where Atlantis was dropped into somehow, because
I've been thinking this for a while now, that we are a 15-foot reptile, because if you were to stretch out our intestines from lips to anus, we're just this one long tube hooked to the reptilian brain, and that we are supposed to be 15 feet tall giants, but they
we
they
were.
shrunk us down,
Mm-hmm.
packed our intestines in, covered it with
Mm-hmm.
a rib cage, and started training us to eat stuff that makes us age and kills us. That's why when you
Right.
said you were Thoth, I was like, I read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I'm working on getting off food completely because I want to live to be at least 1,000 years old, or my goal is 867 years old. And I know people, and I tell people that, and I'm like, dude, food kills you. We are being programmed to eat 3 meals a day. That's like 1,000 meals a year. And whereas if
Right.
you were to eat 1 meal a day, that's only 365 meals a year. And that would cut your metabolism by, that 300% or whatever it is. Because I've read scientific studies say increase in lifespan is directly proportional to decrease in calories consumed. So my goal
Mm-hmm.
is to get to where I'm eating like once a week, and then if I can get to where I'm eating once every 84 hours, which is twice a week, I think I'll have no problem getting to once a week. And if I can get to once a week, my body's going to start making all the nutrients. It's this miracle machine that was created by the creator. And we don't need all this stuff that they're saying that we're supposed to consume. And I resonate
Exactly.
with Thoth. And if you were
Exactly.
Thoth, I'm like, thanks, Thoth, for the Emerald Tablets.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And by the way, I sent you the 42 laws of the Maya, which is based off of the Emerald Tablets, which they wrote the Bible and used those laws too.
You
But
must
that's
have
where they
sent it
come
right
from.
before the meeting started,
I did.
but
I
I didn't
did.
have a chance to look at anything. I was
It's
getting all
okay.
this,
I just wanted to
but
let
I
you know I
will
did
read it.
send it. Yeah. So basically, you're absolutely right. 3 meals a day, and then on top of it, they're poisoning all of our food,
And
water,
water.
air,
Yeah.
everything, products, everything.
Soybean oil.
And the truth
I
is,
can't. I used to eat hummus and guacamole, and like guacamole. I would just eat that. Now, every time I pick up and I look at the ingredients of hummus or guacamole or something I think is going to be healthy, soybean oil, and I'm like, they're
right,
just trying to stop our hearts with heart disease,
right,
and it
right, right,
all
right,
starts with stop shoving stuff in our face hole.
right, right. Well,
We
the
probably only
theory
got
is it,
about like 5 minutes left in this meeting. So if it just cuts
okay,
off, give me like 10 minutes. I'm going to
okay,
download the footage. I'm going to email you another link
okay,
for another meeting, and then we'll start it up. That way you can go to the restroom. I can go to the restroom. We can sip some water or
sure,
whatever we got to do, and I'll take care of some
sure,
stuff.
sure. So real quick, but like you were saying, they want us to be like them. They are literal reptiles. We are not. We with a soul are not reptiles. They are. They were genetically modified. They genetically modified themselves. First of all, they killed the VMAT2 gene, which kills the connection to source, kills the connection to everything, really. And it renders them a sociopath.
Uh,
So when they die, they become a gray alien. They are stripped of all divinity. See, we are not the same. We reincarnate, they do not. That's how they've gotten away with this, is because their consciousness never dies. So when they're on the other side, how they've been able to do it is they actually sacrifice the soul and they take over the body. They put the consciousness into the body because they've taken over the soul. They basically, and then because the body has enough DNA imprinted on the body, they can mimic that person. So they act just like the person. So you could literally go to bed with your wife or your husband and wake up and they can be replaced and you won't know. They can mimic them. You'll notice little mannerisms off, but for the most part, that's what we're dealing with. That's what's running this world. That's who all the elite are. They all died at one time and became a great alien. And
And
they
now
were
there are
all
these
stripped of
people
all
in,
divinity.
and now they're just covered in the person's skin. I look at Hollywood, and there's this transgender agenda going
Oh
on
yeah.
where they're inverting everyone.
Everyone.
And I didn't realize it until I started researching the difference between the female skeleton and the male
Mm-hmm.
skeleton. And
Mm-hmm.
now I look at TV and I'm like, oh my God, Tom Cruise is really a genetic female.
Right.
Charlize Theron,
Right.
a genetic
They're
male.
all.
And their
They're
names
all.
even hint at it too, like Charlie is the Ron, Charlie's
Right.
Theron. It's just, and it's
They
everywhere. Johnny Depp, I think even Donald Trump. If you look
he
at
is.
him,
He's a
they won't.
woman.
Yeah.
Because okay, so they're because when they're stripped of all divinity and become a great alien, they are stripped of sex, everything. They become like a hermaphrodite, which is whatever both. So they pick the body, but they're more feminine or more masculine, and but they pick it. So it's but they also do that to put it in our face to make us lust after the opposite sex. Everything's an aversion, a perversion. Victoria's secret is they're all men.
Oh my gosh. I never thought
Yeah.
about that. It's just, it's
It's
crazy.
all perversion. They want us because anything that's an abomination to what it was supposed to be, that's what they do.
So
Like
what are they,
every
just evil demons and they're jealous of
they
us and
are.
they hate us? And
Well, it's really stems from the three, and I keep bringing the three up because you know them as Adam, Cain, and Lilith, but they are Zeus, Odin, and Medusa, and they go back. I mean, you're that's really where it starts because they're the
you
ones
were
that
Medusa.
control.
You were Medusa.
I am no, I was Freya to Zeus, Odin, and Medusa. I would be Freya, but Adam, Cain.
What's Freya to Zeus, Odin, and Medusa? Is that a child or a parent?
No, I would have. I just like I Eve to Adam, Cain, and Lilith.
Oh, okay.
So I was actually if you look at the mythology story, I had to marry Odin to try to merge all of us together and bring us all together, but it didn't work. He treated me horrible because Odin's very evil. They're all very, very evil. They play different parts. For example, Odin is Lucifer, who is Archangel Michael. So they play good cop, bad cop, because it's the only way they've been able to do this is by deceiving the world. They're the Trinity. Zeus is the fake Jesus, Odin is Mohammed, and Obama, who is Medusa, is Allah. They're the three, the serpent trinity, the Vatican and all the churches worship.
In a few hours, it turns to August 8th, 2024, which is really like
Right.
888. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Okay, so there was a lot of theories.
Go ahead.
Okay. So there was a lot of theories. They've been working nonstop, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at Tesla, all the electrician companies. My theory is that they're doing something with Skynet, with the towers and the ley lines. My theory is they want to burn us. They want a fire. They want to end the world with fire.
Oh,
Now, I
yeah.
don't
Yeah.
think it's going to happen, but I think that they've been planning it. My theory is that they're not going to get away with it. Go back to we were talking about 8-8. So my theory is that they wanted to turn up the 5G towers to 10G, and which would then release all of the vaccines and people and this goes to all the military too, because you got to remember they've been vaccinated with everything.
Yeah. I was in the military. I was Army Intel for 8 years active duty from 93 to 2001. And I had to receive some vaccines when I went into basic in 2000 in 93. And then I had to take one round of anthrax vaccines in 2000. 2001. And then after that, I stopped taking them. I just forged my shot records. So if something
Good
does
for you.
happen, yeah, I was like, there's no way I'm doing it. It was either I was going to get court-martialed and kicked out of the military, or I had to forge my shot records. So I forged my shot records. I had a buddy who would go get his shot, and I would look at his, and then I would copy the doctor's signature onto my shot record, bring it to my NCOIC, and go, there you go, I got my vaccine. They're like, all right, good to go. And then that was it. And but
Wow.
I am a little bit nervous about what's in me, but I have done some extensive fasts and purified my body a couple of times. I did a 12-day water fast, and I'm hoping, and I used Eziac tonic while I was doing it. And I'm doing kind of a modified fast now that I've been doing too, where I'm only eating, like I have not eaten today. I haven't eaten since yesterday, but I'm working on cleansing all the stuff out of my body, and I'm not smoking any cannabis. I stopped caffeine. I still have drank a little bit of alcohol, and I'm working on totally stopping that. And now I'm working on, and I'm doing my best to eliminate eating dead animals and cook and food, meat, because I think all that stuff's terrible, and I don't think it's good to eat animals. I mean, we are what we eat, and why can and I was raised in a household, and I didn't know any better. Raised in a household where we ate steak and potatoes and chicken and fish and all that stuff, so I grew up on it. But now I realize
Yeah.
that it's all just mind control. So I'm
Right.
hoping anyway that I don't get zapped tomorrow, which, you know, if I do tonight, I'm going to be, when we're done with our interviews, I'm going to be editing them, recording it, upload, send it to the link. So at least you have your testimony to share. And if I disappear, then at least I did the best I could while I was here.
Well, my theory is, and I feel like I really have an idea. I don't think anything's going to happen. I think they wanted something to happen. But again, you got to remember,
They are into numbers, though. I mean, eight is the secret six, and it's also the sign for infinity.
right?
And
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 Trump is a 8.
yeah.
That's
Oh, is he?
his.
It's his
Yeah,
number. And he's
yeah.
born June 14th, Flag Day. But I think
See,
888 is 24, 2 and 4 is 6. 6 is the number of the beast because it represents the erect male
right,
phallus. And in
right,
the alphanumeric Luciferian code of the Illuminati, they're into numbers. So I think
right.
something has to happen tomorrow. Something might happen tomorrow that we don't know about, and it gets covered up by some other news story, and you'd have to dig deep to find it.
True, true, true.
But something major
So,
could happen.
so
Everyone's expecting civil war to kick off soon, and then a world war.
So, okay, so let me go back to the red folders. Remember, I was talking to you about the red folders. Well, every one of them have the red folders, and my theory is that is where they're saying that's the alliance that they're going to. That's they're all in on this together.
What is the red folders? What is that?
Um, so my theory, and again, of course, my theory, is that they're basically showing that they're all in on this alliance to wipe out humanity. That's their goal, right? That they're all in on it together, that they've all agreed to this basically satanic Nazi takeover. And as we speak, they're wiping out people in different countries. You got to look at Yemen, you got to look at Congo, Ukraine, Palestine. Look what's going on in Venezuela. It's all a civil war, basically. They want us to all kill each other. But with the 8-8, my theory was that they were going to use fire. And Donald Trump he is Space Force. He is direct energy weapons. He's responsible for Hawaii.
I live 30 minutes, 45 minutes south of space. Not even. I live 20 minutes from Space Force, which is at Old Patrick Air Force Base, like 7 miles from here.
So I grew up in Lake Mary. I know exactly where you are.
Yeah.
And my situation, my case is Seminole County, Florida. I'm in Texas right now, but that's where all my stuff stems from. That's where they're very, very corrupt at Seminole County. And same with Brevard County. I know how corrupt it is there too. Very, very corrupt.
Very corrupt. Seminole
Yeah.
is like Kissimmee, Orlando-ish, right?
Yeah, it's actually it's
192
out.
corridor.
Yeah, it's outside of Orlando, almost like it's 30, about 40 minutes from Daytona, about 20, 30 minutes from Orlando. It's kind of in the middle. Yeah, but it's very corrupt. You got Johnny Poke. It's extremely corrupt. So a little bit about my story is my ex-boyfriend Nick DeFazio, who happens to be Cain. He's Odin, and he's the one. He's and like I said,
And
so
Elon Musk. He's also Nick DeFazio is also Elon Musk, right?
yes. Okay, so I know that sounds really okay. So let me explain.
You don't have
Okay,
to
so
keep saying
what?
it sounds crazy. If I thought you were
Right,
crazy, I wouldn't even done this interview.
right,
I would have
right,
just
right.
been.
So what they do, and because there's three hive minds. My theory is, about the hive mind, right? Where they when they control them. So you've got Donald Trump, who's got the Vatican and all the churches. He's the Gray Pope. He's Pepe Orsini. Donald Trump was sacrificed in '89. The real Donald Trump. So that's not even him. So again, they sacrifice the soul, they take over the body, and then they control it. And same with Elon Musk. Elon Musk was sacrificed when he was 5 years old by his mother, who was Eastern Star Witch. So my ex-boyfriend Nick DeFazio, who is originally Odin, Cain, going back Marduk, Nimrod, Nero, Napoleon, Vlad the Impaler, Ivan the Terrible, Genghis Khan, Heimlich Himmler. I could do this all day. Jeffrey Epstein, the fake JFK Jr. So anyway, so going back to, he runs the Vipers Club, which is an occult outside Deltona, Florida. It is an all men's brotherhood, secret society, men's gay biker club. And they're very heavy in trafficking, human trafficking, and organ harvesting. And that's prevalent for them to take over these bodies and wear our skin, because these gray aliens can't come into this realm without wearing skin. They have to have a body to inhabit, because they can't just come into this realm.
What are the Men in Black? Do you have any idea about them?
The Men in Black are basically the same thing. They are gray aliens that are on the other side, that basically that police everything. They're the ones that police everything. They're Galactic Federation, all kind of intertwined together. Now, were they so again, going back to the Egyptian times when they were mummifying people, so the reason they mummified people with reptiles, they were trying to surpass death, because they didn't want to become a gray alien. They'd already killed their VMAT2 genes, so they knew they were going to become a gray alien. So they were mummifying themselves with reptiles so that they could come back through a reptile. They could reincarnate as a reptile, as a lizard, as a snake, So that's what they started to do originally. And when they die, they're stripped and they're just a consciousness, which is a demon, a gray alien. They look like gray aliens because it's really consciousness. It's a
So a
demonic
gray
being.
alien is really just straight up consciousness, and that's kind of what it looks like when it manifests in the physical.
Yes. It's been stripped of all divinity, sex, any emotion. It has nothing. It only feels hate and pain. That's it.
Hate and pain. I guess that's
Hate
why
and
a
pain.
demon is the way that they are. Have you ever
Right.
seen that video of that gray alien that kind of got leaked years ago, where it was being held and interrogated?
Yes. Yes.
What do you think? Is that real? You think? I mean, it seemed real, or it's the most
I
amazing
honestly, I
technology
do.
I've ever seen.
I believe that they're able to tap into another dimension, and they brought it in. Again, how it manifests itself into this realm, I don't know. And maybe that's what it looks like. And it just they don't want us to know what they look like. So there's a lot because my memories have been wiped. I don't have anything from memory. I just know what I know. So my theory is they can come into this realm, but they would look like that. So they use our bodies to deceive us. It's my theory.
Nick DeFazio, is he from another time time frame, or is he current individual? Like is that your boyfriend from this life or another life?
He is in this lifetime, but he goes back to the beginning. He's my original son, the one that Donald Trump raped me, and I cursed Cain's bloodline. He's Cain.
But
Yeah,
he's from the DeFazio bloodline.
in
Like
this lifetime.
in this lifetime, the DeFazios. I
He's
remember you ever watched Laverne and Shirley, the show?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
And her last name was Laverne DeFazio.
right,
Shirley Feeney and
right.
Laverne DeFazio. It's like the
So
Hollywood
so
wants to
he
put the names in.
so he runs Hollywood. He is the one-eyed Odin who they all
They
worship.
all worship and they put their
Yes,
hand over their eye.
that's Odin. That would be Cain. That is Nyctophazia. That's his name in this lifetime. Now, my theory is that he took over the Nyctophazia body too. Because again, so they have not died for a long time. They've been around for a long time. They can transfer their consciousness into new bodies, take over the bodies. So they've been around for a long time. My theory is that they died 300 some odd years ago. Okay, so they die just like we do, but they're before they die, if they can transfer their consciousness into a new body, they will surpass death. If they die, they can be conjured up with witchcraft and brought through alchemy, growing them in as a homunculus, which is like the Cabbage Patch Babies, where they grow, or in the incubator, or in a petri dish. They can do these things. They can grow
Cloning
them.
laboratory or something
They
like that.
right. The
So
Umbrella
they can eat and
Corporation.
drink whatever they want. They can treat their bodies however they want. It doesn't really
Right.
matter.
Right.
Like me,
Right.
I want to live 867 years,
Right.
so I've got to like stop eating if I want to live, or I'm gonna freaking die. It's not right. I
Right.
want to be able to eat whatever I want and not die, but I can't. But yet I've been hooked on food for my whole life, and it's like that's just a way of
Right.
life. And when I tell people I don't want to eat, they're like, "What? You don't want to eat? What's wrong with you?" It's like, dude, you're under hypnosis from the mass media, and they're training everybody
Mm-hmm.
to kill themselves with food within like 70 years so that they can collect on your birth certificate bond, and that matures
Right.
on your 18th birthday. So they just want you to die and kill yourself and make a profit on the foods that you purchase. It's
Well,
crazy.
so we ate berries and nuts. That's really what we ate. Berries and nuts.
And that's going
We
to give
didn't
you the
need
amino
anything
acids
else.
that you need, and the carbohydrates that you need to function for brain health. And I get it. I just think, but I really believe what Thoth says in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and that we don't need to eat, and if we can withdraw from food, we
Mm-hmm.
can become
Mm-hmm.
superhuman beings.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what they stripped us from. They stripped us from our we're spiritual magical beings, and they stripped us from all that. They basically we're living like them. They swapped places with us. They took all of our abilities and made us the sea monsters, if you will. The whole maritime laws were actually written for them, not for us. Yeah, they're the
Interesting.
sea monsters. They come from the sea. They are they're not um they flipped everything upside down on us, basically. Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, what's been going on with you in this lifetime as far as the what they're trying to do to
Okay.
you, and
Okay.
what your plans are, what's going to happen, and your objectives. So go ahead and tell me about that.
Okay, so I'll start with when I was my mother and grandmother. I was born of a virgin in this lifetime. They murdered my real mother and grandmother, and they and Donald Trump is I told you, my karmic dad, Brad Smith, who is the Freemason goat. Same entity running these bodies, right? So and if you go, I could tell you, going back to when he was Uther Pentadragon, I was King Arthur. He poisoned me, buried me alive, and then took the 200 Knights of the Round Table, made them sign their name in blood, hence how they became the Knights Templar. Then they became the Freemasons. And he's also Charles Brickley, who started the Knights of the Golden Circle. He's also Albert Pike. So he's played a lot of different parts throughout history. Hitler, Brigham Young. I mean, he's got a lot of different.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned Hitler because I've been, you know, I think if you look at the swastika, and this is what I'm getting at, I've been discussing with some people today through text about the swastika, and the swastika was really this esoteric symbol where the pole star is in the center, and you have these other constellations around it, and it seems like Hitler or Nazi Germany or whatever, when they adopted the swastika, that they were really attempting to awaken, that they had been awakened to the esoteric information, that they were hiding it in plain sight, and that really they were showing us on right there on their shoulder that we're living on a flat plane with the stars rotating around us. And
So
I
the
think Hitler might have been just demonized in the public, and really that the Holocaust might be, and I don't know for sure, some type of a hoax to manipulate the emotions and races and everything.
So there's a lot of theories about that. The swastika was originally based off of the flower of life, and it was, so they adopted it. And the original Hitler was not bad. He was taken over by the same entity that's taken him over throughout history, which makes them which is a sociopath. So therefore, it becomes, and that's where it starts. But Hitler, even Heinrich Himmler, was not evil in the very beginning. He was taken over too. So you got to remember. So let's just start with. So Donald Trump will be Enki, and my ex-boyfriend Elon Musk, Nick DeFazio, whichever name you want to use, is Enel. I would be Anu, the original, because they're my children. Everyone
as in Anunnaki, as in from that's rooted in Anunnaki.
It is because the original Anunnaki were dragons, and again, I'm originally the white dragon. Trump would be, and he was crowned Red Dragon in 2016, but he would have been the Red Dragon. And I know that you know about the War of the Roses with the white and the red war that was going on. Anyway, you could research that. But so I would be the white dragon, he would be the red dragon, and then Odin would be the black dragon, which would be Lucifer, whatever you. Anyway, I bring that up because we're all from me originally, and I would have been a dragon in this civilization. Now, again, going back 800 million years ago, I was the tall, skinny princess. I look like Sleeping Beauty. I look like a human. We've lived 3 different civilizations. We've been blue. We've been different species. We've been a lot of different things back in other civilizations. Not in this one. This one, we've been humans generally, for the most part, and the ones that they've been genetically modifying into these reptilians, which they're not. They didn't come from somewhere else. They were genetically modified right here, by the way.
And this is heaven that we're living in. What do you have any idea what's outside outside the realm that we're in? Is it just infinite waters and
sorry.
There you go. That's okay. So is it just like infinite waters above us, below us? And I had another question too. I don't want to forget well, I'll let you answer that one and I won't forget my question. So what do you think then is beyond the above and below?
Okay, so my theory, and again, I'm going by my theory because I don't have any memories.
Okay.
But I believe we're in my body. It's my body, almost like a pregnant woman, like a womb, and it's my aura. And I don't think they say it's a glass dome, but I believe it's more of a frequency, and they can't get out of the frequency because they're dead inside, and only we could get through if we wanted to, because we have spirit, which our bodies would then be gone, and we would become more of a spirit.
We could transcend
ascending, right? And I do believe that there is something above. again, I don't have any memories, so I can only tell you what I know. I don't know anymore. They did they've done so much to this earth that I don't, it's almost like it's flipped upside down, and I can't tell. So and I was saying earlier about Helsinki, Finland, where I believe the Garden of Eden is the original Garden of Eden is. They somehow did a pole shift 13,000 years ago, and they flipped us. There is something called black rock there, where it's a magnet, where it actually is, there's a hole there and an inner earth. And if you look in the inner earth, there's almost a spiral staircase going down. Well, if you flipped everything up right side up, it would be going up. And I feel like they flipped everything upside down, and now the underworld is above, and what was what we would call a heaven, a different, an enchanted realm, if you will, would be now below us,
Well,
which they took over.
I have a goal to eventually make a trip to this magnetic center where
Oh,
allegedly
wow.
Admiral Byrd went.
Right, right, right.
You know, where he was taken to the Crystal City and his
Uh-huh.
plane was taken down.
Right.
That I want to go there.
Okay, you said
And
the Crystal City. Crystal City is what I'm talking about. There's an enchanted, and so there was that enchanted realm that they took kind of over. So
you
there
know,
was that.
I I fell in love with that song Shambhala. You know, how do the
Hmm.
lights shine in the halls
Hmm.
of Shambhala? Well,
Yeah.
I looked up who wrote that song, and it was written by a guy named Daniel Moore. And I called him about 5 or 6 years ago. And because to me, there was something about that phrase, that line, how do the lights shine in the halls of Shambhala? And then I was familiar with that song, and then I read the story about what happened with Admiral Byrd when his plane got taken on the way to the North Pole, and he went to what might be Shambhala, which is the inner Earth area.
Hmm.
So I
Hmm.
called Daniel Moore, and he was elderly, and he may have passed away. He said he came up with that song after he read the book A Treatise on White Magic, and he was driving down the Long Island Expressway. The song came to him. He pulled over, and wrote it down in like 15 minutes. And then he sold it
Wow.
to Three Dog Night. And I've met the drummer Pat Botts for Three Dog Night. I met him in at Lou's Blues in Melbourne on the A1A beach side. I don't know if you've been over here from Lake Mary, but I was hanging out with
Hmm.
members of the Steve Miller Band, and I had booked a role in their movie, and Kenny Lee Lewis and Billy Peterson, the bass player and guitar player, wrote a movie called Off the Hook. I got a role in it as this guy Sammy Spear to play this grunge rocker who's in it, and I was hanging out with them, and that's how I met Pat Boss. They all went to jam at Lou's Blues with Pat on drums, Kenny Lee on guitar, and Billy Peterson on bass. But the point is that it's weird that I was able to meet them and then meet Pat Botts, who's in the band that bought the song from Daniel Moore, and it's like I feel like I'm kind of connected in some way, and which is leads into my question about these entities take over bodies, and they'll take you over. And I've been learning, I think, and I've learned through my own physical experiences, that the less I eat, the less sleep I need. I can go days
Right.
without sleep because my blood sugar's not dropping. My body's just running itself. I can get sunlight and moonlight, and I think moonlight is important too. And I think we've been programmed to this 9 to 5 lifestyle where we're living in the sun, but we're covered in night and we're not getting any moonlight. And I think that's we need the moonlight. But I'm wondering, I've been working on my own entertainment career to be an actor, writer, producer, director. I've produced things that are on Amazon Prime. I got a movie up there, Hollywood and Vine, another one, True Stories. People can rent it. I got books out there. So I'm working, but my production company is Enlightenment Through Entertainment Productions, where I'm getting like doing interviews like this with you to expose the truth and get it out there to the people. Enlightenment through entertainment, an entertaining video interview to enlighten the people. And I feel like I'm going to get to a certain point where there's two options. Either if they can do time travel and they haven't killed me yet or replaced me, then I might not become anything and they already know that and they're not doing anything to me. Or I'm supposed to be doing this, and might become someone who teams up with someone like you and a few others to help change the whole world and save the world from them. So, how do we protect ourselves, in your opinion, your theory, from being taken over and becoming just another skin suit for a dude that ticked me, replaced me in my sleep, and now I'm not even me anymore?
So first of all, they can't just replace you. You have to be very compromised. You have to have either signed your soul over. You have to be so low vibrational that you are not aware of what you're doing, and almost like they trick you, compromise you, manipulate you into being deceived. They cannot just take your soul.
Oh,
First
okay.
of all,
So then I'm good.
so
I should be good to go
so
then.
so you actually, so a couple of things. So we actually have dominion over all creepy crawly things. We have more power than they make, than we believe, than we know, because we've been lied to. They actually have no rights in this realm. They're the intruders. That's why they deceive us. That's why they tell us everything that they're going to do in a way that we don't, because the laws of the universe are still in effect. And even though I am blocked, I still have a lot of power. And so first of all, they've been trying to kill me since before I was even born in the womb. They've murdered me 27 times in this lifetime. And I keep resurrecting. So again, how they've done this in the past is they've stolen my identity. They were able to destroy my body, bury me, and I'm usually alive because I'm immortal. They would bury me, and then you can't resurrect being buried. So then I would lose that life, and they would be able to take over my destiny for that life. And that's how they've stayed in power for so long. The fact that I've woken up to all this is very bad for them, because the only way they were going to be able to get away with this. So again, the reason they wrote the Bible and all of this, and they're trying to deceive everyone, is to swap identities with me and my children, those with souls. So they can't just do that, because the way they wrote it, we're following their narrative. But the only way they would have been able to do it is like the last is supposed to be first and the first is supposed to be last. They wrote it, so we're following it. And their plan was to swap identities with me, destinies, birthrights, and they would have gotten our destiny, and we would have gotten their destiny. Their destiny is sealed. See, that there's a lot of truth to the Bible. Again, they wrote it in their narrative, but it is true. They were hoping that they could swap places with me. And they've been trying to do this. In the last 3 years, like, I have been fighting harder than I've ever fought spiritually. My whole life, I didn't even know it was going on, but I was under all this lies and belief system that I just assumed bad things just happen to me. But it was really their karma I was living out, because they have not had to deal with anything. They've never had a problem.
Sociopaths, right?
Right. So
is karma kind of something that happens to because of your conscience, and it gets to you, and then you program yourself to self-fulfill kind of a punishment because of what you've done wrong? And then deep inside, if you have a conscience and you're not a sociopath, you kind of punish yourself. What do you think about karma? Or is it
there's a lot to that, but there's also the universe. The very universe can be extremely cruel, can be very cruel. And I know this because I walked through their karma. And I mean, where, bad things just, nothing works out for you. Everything kind of breaks, and, those kinds of things. It just is, it's the universe. So how they've been offsetting it is they've been dumping it on us. So they tell us that we sign contracts to come into this realm, and it's the school. And no, that's not true. They actually put us in these lineage, these families, to offset these families' karma. Okay, so for example, my situation, I wasn't born in this family. They kidnapped me. But because I'm in this family, they didn't have karma. I got all their karma. So everything bad happened to me, not to mention all the witchcraft and all the other stuff that they were doing on top of it. Like I mentioned to you, everything happened to me in sevens, which is, by the way, the number of completion. Once it happens to me 7 times, they can't do it again. And they're at the point they've done everything they could possibly do to me 7 times. So therefore,
You're free.
we're actually doing good right now. We're winning and they're not right now.
So
So
now you're on the
even
other
though,
side of that and you can tell your story now.
right. So even though they've got technology and they've got a lot of secret societies working behind the scenes, they are not doing so great. You can see a lot of them are self-destructing in the spotlight right now. You can see that a lot of them can't afford to pay their houses. They're losing a lot. And that's just the laws of the universe kind of coming to them. A lot of them now with my situation, it's a little deeper. First of all, let me just tell you what happens to me happens to humanity, those with souls. What happens to them happens to their children, by the way. So there's a lot to that. And you got to remember, they're the three. It would be my karmic dad, my stepmother, and then my ex-boyfriend. That's the three. That's who runs everything. They run the Vatican, the churches, all the foreign leaders, all the secret societies. They run it all.
So you actually know Nick DeFazio, and you met him in this life, and you dated and everything like that.
Well, he actually they sought me out. First of all, it gets so deep because my karmic family, that's not my family, that kidnapped me, it's their son. Even though I didn't know this in my lifetime, apparently it's so hard to explain.
What was the catalyst that in this life that woke you up to everything?
It was when my karmic dad, Brad Smith, faked his death June 30th, 2022. I had known, and I asked him all the time, I know you're a Freemason. I know you're a Freemason. I could feel it. I just knew it. But he would always lie to me and tell me he wasn't. And when he died, it was like something broke off me. Like it was a curse. Even though he didn't die, I had thought he died and somehow, but he was gone. So he wasn't in my life. And even though his body was gone, he was now Trump, right? I mean, he plays lots of different parts. It's so hard to explain because when they take over the soul, they can be several people at once because it's the gray alien that runs them, but they're connected to a hive mind. They're controlling these people, like, so Lucifer. So go back to Lucifer.
Like how a computer has several different apps running at the same time.
Yes.
And that computer is the hive mind, and then it just is operating different programs all at the same time.
Right. Exactly. So yes, exactly. So like Elon Musk with the Neuralink, he can control all these people, and they're all doing separate things, but he's running them. He is really the one that's controlling it all. Same with Donald Trump. He runs the Vatican and all the churches. And then Elon Musk runs the judicial system and Hollywood. And then you got Barack Obama, which is with Hollywood too, but runs all the demonic churches, all the satanic churches and things like that. Those are the three hive minds. And they're separate. So they look like they're at war against each other, like the deep state and the Luciferians, when in reality, they all work together but they just deceive everyone.
It's all Freemasons, Pythagorean illuminated Freemasons is what and you can even look at their symbolism and you see the pillars that they have with it shows that we're in a flat earth under a dome. I mean, the symbolism is hidden right there in our faces of what they believe.
And you bring up the pillars, that's King Solomon. That would be Donald Trump. By the way, let me just tell you, I'm King David, and he poisoned me, King David, buried me alive, took my my ring conjured up the 72 demons, brought them into this kingdom, and that's how he built Solomon Temple, is with the demons that he brought in, and that's how he used them.
Yeah. Is there something specific about the number 27 or 72? And are those demons still here roaming the earth?
Well, they're okay. So as far as roaming the earth, it's,
You
I
know,
mean, they're in bodies. They're
yeah.
in bodies. So yes, they are. They're on this earth. 72 would be the 72. And then you got the 27, which is a 27 club where they were sacrificing everyone. That's kind of interesting too.
So 27 is the 27 club. Because I have a personal friend who is always seeing the number 27 and is very anxious and has a lot of anxiety.
Huh. That's interesting. They murdered me 27 times in this lifetime. That's
Yeah, the number
interesting.
27, there's something about it, and it pops up in entertainment all the time. I see, like, for instance, I was just watching Boiler Room yesterday with Ben Affleck and Giovanni Ribisi and Vin
Mm.
Diesel, because I was watching it with my girlfriend and I wanted her to see it because she had never seen it. And Ben Affleck's giving this speech and he's like, and I'm a millionaire. And how old am I? I'm 27 years old. And so that number just keeps popping out everywhere
Mm.
in entertainment. And I would imagine if Nick DeFazio is running Hollywood and he's part of the 27 club that's part of murdering people, that they just like to insert their numbers into different things, and
Oh,
for specific
absolutely.
reasons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And a lot of Hollywood, you now, I don't know if you know about the Disney and the manufactured children, the Mickey Mouse, and all of them. Basically, they're the same thing. They were grown in a lab, and they're not human. They have no souls. Their whole purpose is to deceive the world and to, and to,
Part of the mass media marketing program to get us
right,
to believe
right,
in
right,
certain things. Like
right,
if you watch Hollywood movies and TV shows, cop shows and cop movies, the cops are good. You have to pay your taxes. The IRS will come get
right.
you. The law, the way that they do things is law, and you have to listen to them. You have no rights. And then whenever there's an issue or a problem, they go to a bar and start drinking liquor, and they always want to sit down and eat, and they're always eating a steak, and they're just programming, and then there's always a globe in the background and all these
Right.
different things that I see all the time. And it's just like, it's so frustrating because I see it and it's like, man, this is just another program trying to tell
Mm-hmm.
people what to think, and I see it for what it is, and I don't watch it. I watch it so that I can look at filming techniques because I'm a filmmaker,
Sure.
but I also look at it from the perspective of how are they programming us up. There's another program.
Yeah. And I was just thinking, I really enjoy having a conversation with somebody who is aware and smart.
Yeah, and
Because a lot of people
I
aren't.
appreciate that. There's so many different there's so many different tangent fields and theories to this whole thing, this is,
Right.
and you seem to know even things I don't know, that I haven't had a chance, and I've been studying this for since I was a kid. I'm 55 and I've been studying all this for ever. I mean, I just can't remember not wanting to know what the truth is about everything, which is what I was getting at. I think it was the mass media programming. You watch TV shows and movies, and they're just programming us to kill ourselves with food, alcohol, and drugs, and that the maniacs who are running the world are the ones in charge of everything, and you got to believe what they say, and
Right.
it's such a scam, a bad
Mm-hmm.
scam.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
So,
wanted to ask,
so
go
basically,
ahead.
what it is the Nazis that came over and took over. If you know NASA, and NASA is big because it's the intelligence agency for the universe. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And
Oh,
and if you look on their website under War Machine, it says silent wars against humanity. So they're the ones that are behind poisoning our water, air, food, products, our clothes, all of our clothes. Now they're trying to legalize marijuana, which is also Monsanto or whatever it is.
Monsanto.
Um, Yeah.
Genetically modified. Yeah.
Right.
It's so weird
Right.
that you say that. I figured I knew it too because I lived in Los Angeles. I had my med card back in 2011. I kind of started smoking can I call it cannabis. I'm not using the
Sure.
word marijuana because that's their thing.
Right.
And so I it was fun when I smoked it. I liked the relaxing feeling, but there came a point where it started giving me negative thoughts that I did
Hmm.
not like and started making me dizzy and not feel good. And I was like, oh my God, it's finally this crappy GMO stuff and I'm done. And I'm glad because I don't want to be under the influence of anything.
Yeah.
And I quit coffee. No more caffeine in my system. No more cannabis in my system. I'm staying away from alcohol, weaning myself off food. I mean, I said this before, but yeah, I believe it. The cannabis now is GMO and it's just not
Yeah.
good for you.
Right. Right. Right.
And everything
Everything.
is GMO now, I think.
Everything.
You can't eat anything. It's all just designed to kill you. And we can't even drink. I mean, I get my water from the waterman that uses a reverse osmosis system. And then I use a Berkey filter in this bottle that comes in it, and it filters out all the rest of the contaminants and the fluoride. So, my pineal gland won't get calcified or it stays decalcified so that I have this ability to tap into creative thinking. Like I can just sit back and decide what I want to write about or think about or get into, and I just ask the question and I can sit and wait and then it just starts coming to me. I mean, I can just pull it right in. I've
So,
always
so
been
the
able to do
truth,
that.
so the truth about ascension, when they talk about us ascending, the truth is the earth was actually setting, because it's alive. The earth is very alive. It's my body. It's supposed to set itself back to the original way it was supposed to. See, there was no seasons in the beginning. It was tropical 24/7. And after the pole shift and everything happened, that's when the seasons had to be created because everything was dying and it wasn't and there was a lot to that. I think a lot of it had to do with when they chopped my head off and I was John the Baptist and the dark ages and everything like that. There's a lot to all that. We didn't have all of this. They've changed the earth so much, but the reason they've created the sun, the fake sun in the sun simulator, and we feel like we're living in an aquarium now, is because the sun, the natural sun, that's why Elon Musk shot it with 3 rockets to damage it. And now who knows? I know it's out there, but it's off course. It's not what it's supposed to do. And it would help the earth ascend back to the natural way it was supposed to. And we would be getting our magical spiritual our abilities,
Capabilities.
which would give us the ability to have be telepathic. We would be able to read each other's minds. We'd be able to see who's good and who's not good,
We read animal
so to speak.
minds.
Huh?
You think we could read animal minds? Like I, you
Well,
know, I feel like there's something to dogs. Like I live with a dog. My
yes.
my girlfriend's daughter's dog is staying with us, and I love her. She's a pit bull. She's got emotions, feelings. She knows
Yeah.
what I'm saying. She
Yeah.
knows words. She's
Absolutely.
excited and she's full of love. And then I
Mhm.
see when someone yells at her, she's filled with like sadness. And there's
Absolutely.
what is the deal with dogs and these animals that we live with?
Absolutely. We used to be able to communicate with our minds with them. We could talk to them. Yes. And there's a lot to do with, okay, so the Disney movies that, all the Disney stories, Snow White, I that's actually true. We had abilities to talk to them. They took all of that away from us. They took everything away from us. And the whole theory was the world the they say we're ascending, but in reality, the earth is ascending, giving us back our abilities. And because the sun simulator is offsetting the earth from ascending, it's also keeping them from getting their rightful karma for the earth to actually give them what they're supposed to get because the laws of the universe. And that's how they're actually offsetting everything. They're using technology to stop the actual ascending of the earth
How do we get this?
from setting itself the frequency.
I've seen videos where people are seeing the sun simulator and then another giant sun like behind it, like there's two suns and they're like, what's going on? And
Right.
maybe the sun simulator is supposed to be covering the real sun that has been damaged. And I think that they're using chemtrails then to
Mm-hmm.
kind of block out the
Cover.
natural and
Right.
poison
Right.
us, you know,
Right.
to do all
The
that.
natural rays that's supposed to give us the abilities, and that's what's supposed to happen. And they're blocking it out with the sun, with the chemtrails. And I mean, look what they're doing with our earth. That's all metals, it's titanium, aluminum, barium, everything. And then they spray with smart dust.
Yeah, nanoparticles that are invading everything, right? They can get right
Mm-hmm.
in. I mean, I guess we're not even safe in our house, and I know it's absorbing into us. And how do we
Right.
detoxify from that? Is there a way, or
Well, the truth is, I mean, the truth is our bodies, because we are the spiritual magical beings, and our blood is life. We have the eternal spirit, life spirit that they do not have. Our bodies will adapt even to some of this stuff. Now, that's why they use so much radiation, all these towers that are breaking
so
up
we
our
adapt
blood
so
cells,
well, right?
right? Which is, yes.
That's what I've been saying. I tell people all the time, I go, look, evolution or adaptation doesn't take thousands of years. It happens like moment to moment, second to second. Our metabolism increases when we eat, it decreases when we don't eat.
Mm-hmm.
When our body gets warm, we start to sweat. When we get cold, we start to shiver. When we're not taking in certain nutrients, our body starts making it. Like we just
Right,
adjust on the fly immediately. We're these apparently physical beings, but we're really, I think, these soul beings. And
right,
that's what I was getting to too, is that I think every living thing, grass, trees, animals,
right,
dogs, we're all living soul
right,
beings
right.
and in a soul environment that is just apparently physical to our senses. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering then, are dogs they seem smart and keen, but they seem like they're important souls, and there's a reason that they're here, and there's something about them. And I was just wondering if you have any insight into that. Like, they seem like they're deified in statues, and the Sphinx maybe is a giant dog. And what's the importance of, they say dogs are man's best friend. What's your theories on that?
So there's a couple of theories, and again, I don't have any memories, but I will tell you, you can tell a certain dog has an old soul to a dog that doesn't that it's more like a newer soul, kind of like people. So my theory is that they also reincarnate. So
Only
they
as dogs?
are.
Do they have to come back as dogs, or can they come back as something
I
else?
would I would assume that, and again, I don't have any memories, so I'm going by just assuming. Yeah, my theory is that they just come back as like as now. I also know that, like, back in the Egyptian days, when they would mummify us with different species, they would actually, that spirit, whatever that being is, because it wouldn't have a soul, it wouldn't reincarnate naturally, so it would have to come back as that. So my theory is a lot of that is what they were mummifying too, so they could be those as well, because back in those days they mummified everything when it died, whether it was good or bad, soul or not. They mummified everything, and they generally mummified it with some type of either reptile or a cat or a dog or whatever it was. So my theory is, once that happens, it's going to be in that. Now, so that's my theory. Whether good or bad, it could be a soul that got into. I don't know enough. And again, like I said, I can't say something that I don't know for sure. So I don't know. But my theory is there's old souls in dogs, and then there's new souls.
And they
Yeah.
seem to be mostly good, lovable
Yeah.
beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
and they might not have a sense of time, or it seems like it, or they're just always so happy to see me. Like whenever I return home,
Yeah.
Layla, this dog, she acts like I've been gone forever, and she's just, you know, and it could have been, I could have just walked outside and come right back in, you know. And I feel
Yeah.
bad. I don't buy her dog food. Her owner does, but you know, it just seems like I wonder if they really need to eat either, because it seems like the food that is given to dogs just kind of kills them. I would rather give her raw food or nothing, and not, and maybe, you know, they only need to eat a little bit. I think this whole, like, for instance, Karen Carpenter, she died, they said, from anorexia. It's almost like she was sacrificed to be the spokesperson for you have to eat. You know what I mean? And like that
Yeah.
was her, that's what was supposed to happen to her, just to make people think, oh, look, see what happens if you don't eat, you're going to starve to death and die. But I think that that's just another game they've been playing. And I think the creator of this reality gave us everything that we need to live and continue
Mhm.
living without having to consume other living things. Like I shouldn't have to kill an animal to live, and eat that animal to live, or even a plant or a tree or fruit. Like that tree is bearing fruit with seeds in it so that that fruit can drop to the ground and make another tree, not for us to take it and eat it. I don't think that's what it was originally there for, even though I'll eat an apple because it's the less bad thing to eat than, you know, a steak or something like that. But now I'm getting away from food in general, but seeded, you know, things with seeds, because that's the reproductive material of a tree that's just trying to reproduce, not for me to eat the tree. And I think that then they use the Bible to kind of convolute things a little bit to make people think, oh, well, you're supposed to eat the fruit from the tree, or the apple in the Garden of Eden, you know. So what do you think?
Well, there's a lot to that. There is a lot to that, like the cycle of life. I mean, if we didn't, you got to look at it like deer. If you there was a million deer, and we didn't, we didn't circle of life, where we wouldn't be able to walk because there'd be so many deer. So you've got to look at things like that. Now, I'm with you. I believe whatever the animal goes through, you're going to ingest it. So if the animal was treated really bad, you're going to feel those emotions because it's life in the blood. Now, as far as nuts and fruits, I do believe that that was created for us to eat, but we don't need much. I mean, and you had mentioned about sleep. See, I have actually, because and again, our bodies are, and again, who, whether you want to believe I am who I am, we're made in the creator's image. We are the spiritual magical beings. So our bodies heal itself every 7 years. It's a new body. So it sheds everything from the old and we become, new. But I have like been up 20 days, 20 nights without sleep 3 times. Didn't even close my eyes.
Yeah, I've been like
So,
that. I've
and
done that like 3, 4 days at a time where I didn't sleep and didn't get tired. That was when I was fasting. Didn't need to
yeah.
sleep.
So our bodies can do anything. This is 20 days and 20 nights, 3 separate times. So that's a long time. And during that time, I barely ate. So again, our bodies can, and another thing, intermittent fasting is extremely good for the body to regenerate itself. Going as long as you can before you eat, is really good between
I've been
times.
working on recently. I was doing a lot of intermittent fasting, and then I got
Mm-hmm.
into a new relationship, and my whole routine changed for like the last couple of years. And I'm just now getting back into control, where I told my girlfriend, I go, look, I don't really like, I didn't live like this for a long time. I want to get back to how I do like to live, which is not eating, going long periods of time without eating. I don't like watching television. And
Yeah.
we don't fight about it, but you know, everybody's different. And sometimes, I don't know, you get into a relationship and it's just, you know, I don't know. Relationships are difficult. I don't know if I would ever have another committed relationship if this one ended. I just have too much stuff to work on for myself to purify
Sure.
myself. I mean, I like people and I like the aspects of a relationship, but it's got to be the right relationship where we're on the same wavelength. And I think I'm going to have a hard time finding anybody who's going to think the way I do, where it's like, I'm going to live to be 867 years old. I keep telling myself that. I'm programming my mind for that. And I want to do that without eating.
Good for you. What you believe you are. It's that this is heaven. This is earth. What you believe you will manifest. And we see, the other thing is when, you go back to so 70 AD, when I was crucified on a tree, not a cross, by the way. That's when the Holy Spirit, that's when my spirit was left for everyone with free will and the Holy Spirit to govern yourself. We were supposed to govern ourselves. We were living in the millennial reign, thriving, coexisting, happy, and then they came again and took over. And they've done this several times. And again, had I known everything then, what I know now, I could have stopped it, but I didn't. So, and here we are. But again, so it's really, we really can program. We speak into existence what happens. That's why they use propaganda, the symbolisms, the movies, the ritual, and television. And television is television. I don't watch any television. Everything on the television is programmed. It's all propaganda. But they give us that so that we manifest their witchcraft for them. We are the spiritual magical beings. So when we see something we don't want to happen, we really need to speak into ourselves and our subconscious, cancel, cancel, cancel. We won't accept that, right? And then we take back our own control. See, we're giving our control away by allowing the eyes of the window of the soul to see this. So therefore it's going in our subconscious, whether we know it or not, and we're manifesting it for them.
I agree. Because the subconscious mind reflects into reality what it believes. Right. And once it gets programmed in as a command, it reflects out. And so the hypnotism from this program releases our conscious barrier, allows us to be programmed. Then it reflects out into reality. And now we've created this reality based on how they program TVs and movies. Right. And if we can get rid of that, we can just program the reality that we want to program like that.
Exactly. And that's why they use religion, because it's their narrative and their mind control, and they're going with their narrative, and they're trying to bring in, and again, everything was fulfilled. Now the Bible, it's based off of truth, because I actually lived it and I was all the prophets. But they're actually living it, their narrative, and they're trying to swap places with us and fulfill it, bring it to pass. So again, if we would
what about Revelations?
Revelations?
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot to it. We've already gone through this. It's already been done. And now we're reliving it in their narrative, because they rewrote it in their narrative, and they're trying to fulfill it again and bring it so that they end up having our destiny and we get their destiny. But they can't. So far, they have not been able to swap places with me. Now, they have done a lot to me in this lifetime. And let's go back to, I mentioned to you when I was Tsar Nicholas II, the Emperor of Russia, I had set up a trust in my DNA for $7.9 trillion in gold, knowing that they were going to murder my whole family. I was hoping that I could have gotten out of it, but I didn't know. I was hoping, because I was supposed to be, when they murdered us all, the Red Army was supposed to be coming to rescue us, and that's why they murdered us so fast. Anyway, but going back to 1917, I set up that trust because I knew in my next life, which I ended up reincarnating as the original Simeon Toko. And that the third Fatima prophecy that the Vatican has been hiding was about me coming.
Okay. Simeon Toko.
Yeah, Simeon Toko. In the original, because there was two. What they would do to me is they would kill me, And then they would have an imposter take over and then assassinate my character in every lifetime, generally. Just like they basically rewrote history without honest Abe Lincoln. What you know about Abe Lincoln isn't the truth. They've changed everything. And going back, even Thoth, they had two Thoths. They killed me. And the second Thoth actually is the one that sold the women and slaves after the men went into war. He's the one that sold the women and slaves. It wasn't me. They'd already killed me and took over my identity.
Did the original Thoth write the Emerald Tablets of Thought of Thoth?
Yes. The original did, and then Hermes came through, which is my ex-boyfriend, same person who introduced spelling, mathematics, and the laws, which are the maritime laws. And so it was written for them, but he was part of it. So he always plays, you got to remember, they always play good cop, bad cop, like the archangels. They're demons. They're the same. They're the great alien demons that pretend they're good angels, and they're
even
really
like
not.
with this crazy fraudulent presidential election. It's good cop, bad cop, good Trump, bad Biden, or now
Right.
Who's
clown?
what entity is Kamala Harris? Do you know who she is?
Yes, she's Barack Obama. She's Barack Obama, and this is the thing. Okay, so again,
and
she
Barack
was
Obama
sacrificed.
is Odin.
Barack Obama is Medusa, if you go back that, but she's also Allah. Allah.
Oh,
Allah Kamala. Right. Allah Kamala. Yeah. It's who the Muslims worship, right?
Yeah.
Now the truth is Allah, the original Allah would be me, which is Anu, the creator. But they take my name and then they take over the identity and then they become that and they make it bad. Just like every religion originally started out with good intention, but then they took it over and made it their religion.
Yeah,
So
I used to be a counterterrorism analyst, and I worked at Central Command, and the area of responsibility for Central Command is the Middle East, and we were heavily focused on Islamic radical terrorism and terrorists because they believe in fundamentalist Islam, which is, if you don't believe in Allah, then then we'll murder you. And they really bad-mouthed Muslim religion, saying that they're just a bunch of murdering psychopaths who want to kill everybody that doesn't believe in Allah. And I can't imagine that's and that's what Catholicism became too. Be a Catholic or we're going to kill you. And it's like they turn every religion into something bad. Instead of it's probably really just Christ consciousness, where you're in touch with your pineal gland and the oil of the of your chakra system, to have a Kundalini experience and open your mind to the universal connectedness to the creator, which is what I think it's really all about.
Right. Well, if you know that you are created in Christ's image, therefore you are just like. See, that's the thing. See, they want people worshiping them and they want to control everything. I wanted to coexist and love everyone and be just like me. You are made just like me. I didn't want anybody to be jealous. We were just the same. I would be happy if you were doing great, vice versa. They don't want that. They want to control and dominate and enslave us is what they want. And then they want to stifle everything from us and leave us with nothing. They want to kill, steal, and destroy. That's all they know. Again, once they kill the VMAT2 gene, it renders them a sociopath. So how do you rehabilitate a sociopath? You can't.
I know. And that's the sad thing about a sociopath is they have no feelings or emotion, no conscience. They don't care. And it seems like they even get a kick out of hurting people and seeing harm and destruction.
Well, that's where they only feel pain and hate. That's the only emotion that drives them. And the other thing is, and their whole thing with the magic only works if they have to manipulate a innocent soul, a spirit, a soul, which they don't have, and take that spirit and manipulate it. So it's generally sodomizing a child, taking the innocence and manipulating with their demonic spirit and manipulating that in order for their magic to even take place. So it's always at somebody's expense. It's always hurting someone, splitting the personality, which is what they do with the sodomizing the children, which is really, that's their main thing. They want to split the personality so they can never find themselves their center themselves. Because the truth is, I'm hidden within. You have to know yourself and find yourself before you actually set yourself free and find Christ within.
Self. That's one of the main tenets of,
Mm-hmm.
I think, Thotheism, or even
Mm-hmm.
Hermes, or what about P. Diddy? Who's look at what happened with him recently. Is he Nick DeFazio or part of
Yes,
that? And
yes, he is. Yes, yes. Same. Nick DeFazio, P. Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein. And if you know anything about Jeffrey Epstein Island, it's all about Baal and Moloch. Donald Trump's Moloch. Jeffrey Epstein's Baal. They're father and son. They're Zeus and Odin, Adam and Cain, Enki and Enel, Pope Alexander the Sixth, the devil. Oh, let me see. Sorry.
it's okay. Oh, what happened? We're still recording, but you disappeared. Hmm.
Sorry.
No, that's
Are you
okay.
there?
I'm glad you're back. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you?
Okay.
I
So
mean,
real quick.
and
So
we're still, but
Pope
I
Alexander.
can't see you.
Oh, here we go.
Just see that
Uh,
picture of you at the beach.
yeah, I know. I wish I was there. Okay, let's see. It usually comes right on. Okay, there we go. Okay, okay. So, I was saying Pope Alexander the Sixth, which is Pope Alexander Borgia, and then Caesar Borgia is Elon Musk. They're the same. They're father and son. And then you got Lilith, which is the first homuncubus, which is Obama, Loki, Seth, Amun Ra. I know it gets very for
I'm
me to
tracking.
follow it through.
I'm listening. I mean,
Yeah,
and I think the audience is also getting it because they're seeing the connection with everything. Like even Moloch the Owl at Bohemian Grove. I was working at Terranea Resort in Rancho Palos Verdes at the tip of South Los Angeles kind of peninsula, right across from Catalina Island. Like Terranea Resort is there. And the son of the owner of Terranea Resort, which is this huge resort that all the famous people go to. It's got its own golf course. It's right there on the ocean. It's beautiful. I worked there doing catering while I was doing extra work in movies and TV shows when I lived in LA and catering, and I would get jobs at Terranea Resort and go work on stuff. And one day the son of the owner was hanging out there, and I was telling him I was writing a book, making a movie about the female messiah who saves the world called Hollywood and Vine, and how I had met members of the Steve Miller Band and Kenny Lee Lewis, the guitar player. He told me we were sitting on the dock one day, right off US 1 near Rockledge, filming in a marina, and we were between takes, and Kenny Lee was like, oh man, Steve Miller invited me out to Bohemian Grove, but I don't want to go because I don't want to get. He didn't say it this way, but he goes, I don't want to get sodomized. I don't want to go to Bohemian Grove because I don't want to get sodomized. He said it like three
right.
times. I go, and he said it again. I go, Kenny Lee, I get it. I don't want to get sodomized either. I don't want to sodomize you. I understand what you're saying, but I am interested in what's going on at Bohemian Grove. So this guy at Terranea Resort, he said this phrase about a spider's web and a tale of a spider's web and Moloch the Owl at Bohemian Grove. Could you speak to that a little bit?
What? First of all, I mean, and again, Donald Trump is an avatar. He was sacrificed in '89. That body's just used by Pepe Orsini, which is the same entity again. Zeus. Go back to Zeus, whatever. But that's Molech. Um, and so the thing
Luck
about
is
the
Zeus.
yes, Molech is Zeus, and he's also Shem, who the fake Jews worship. Yeah, yeah. So, which would
The
be
Jews
my
worship.
yeah. That's who the and there's a lot to do with the fake Jews in this because they are the homuncubuses. So yeah.
That's why they run the legal system in Hollywood, I
Mm-hmm,
guess, too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 and yeah. So and you mentioned the weave and the spider. That to me, and again, I'm going just with what I know. I don't is Skynet. They're doing a lot of this weaving in the sky with this with and again, I don't know what they're using exactly. I've seen it. Um, I saw it about a year ago. I happen to be they they've been targeting me. First of all, they target me a lot. The Galactic Federation sent about my house every single night, even in and since I've moved to Texas, they found me. So obviously they find me with my phone, but I've seen them weaving things in the sky with these spiders, these something spiders, and there's something to do with they say about Mars, but Mars is not real. It's actually land here that they're using, but they've got some kind of spider technology. I don't know, robots, whatever they're using, but something that's weaving some kind of, and I call it, I don't know exactly what it is, but they're weaving something in the sky
The
and they're
World Wide Web.
using it.
Notice they don't call the World Wide Web the global web. They call it the world. I just thought of that the other day. It's not the GW, it's the WWW, the World Wide Web,
Right,
because it is a wide, flat plane. Do you think
right.
can they so can they get past the Antarctic ice barrier to get to the outer lands? I know Admiral Byrd said
Yes,
there's a large continent beyond the pole of the South Pole
yes,
that's undiscovered.
yes. They've got the land of Toth out there. They've got Sirius B, all the 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 variants of the coronavirus that they were calling all the names. Those are all of the outer lands. They put it in our
Really?
face.
Uh,
Yes. So they've got Orion over there. They've got and this is the thing. At one many years ago, I don't know when exactly what the time is, but we've been in a lot of wars. And 55,000 years ago is really when they kind of took over this. And my theory is that's when um King Solomon poisoned me, King David, and put me in a 6,000 year karmic cycle, about 6,000 years. And we've been repeating history, all world wars, every man made disaster. We've been repeating it, kind of like the snake eating its tail going around. And so the earth was, and that's what this whole time is. And the end times are about the earth ascending and stopping that. And since I've broken that curse, we're not on that cycle anymore. So now the earth is supposed to ascend. And that's why they're kind of making things happen, making things as they go, kind of now, because their plans aren't as in stone because they can't swap places with me.
yeah,
So they're kind of
I wonder if that's why the Georgia Guidestones got demolished. The Georgia Guidestones,
right,
they
right,
were recently destroyed a few
right,
years
right.
ago. And from what I understand, Denver International Airport was supposed to be New World Order West, and Georgia Guidestones were supposed to be the location of New World Order East, and the Mississippi River was supposed to kind of split the United States in half. And I think some of the coastlines were going to go underneath, and it's going to be like a re-establishment of that land under those commands, basically New World Order East, New World Order West. But the Georgia Guidestones suddenly get destroyed and demolished. And to me, that was a sign that somehow, because they were so exposed and something happened, the plans have changed. And you can't really predict now where it's headed. And that now
Right.
ties in kind of what you're saying is the cycle is over. We're in a unknown or a new
Right.
kind of a territory where it's like, okay, now you've got this whole awakening of all the people around Earth going, hey, we're tired of being slaves to these psychopaths who are running the law system, the judicial system, the police brutality, the fake political agendas, all
Hmm.
the poisons in our food, genetically modified organisms. And it seems like the future, we're on the brink of some major change. And I'm wondering,
Right.
what do you see then if we're going to ascend consciousness wise? What do you see is in the near future that's going to happen to us? And I think we only have a few minutes left on this recording. So
Okay.
remember your stopping point and we'll pick it up because this is important. It's all
Okay.
important,
Okay.
but
Right. So a lot has changed, but again, you see how they just kind of make fun of us on like the clown show with the whole politician with the politicians and the election and everything. But really nothing is set in stone because they thought they were going to be able to swap identities with me and they haven't been able to. And that was their big thing. Um so far, my theory is they're just kind of taking it like they've got a lot of people. You got to remember there's 500 million of them, the secret societies, the synagogue of state, and they've got that are in it. And then you've got your demonic witches and warlocks and whatnot, the celebrities that sign their name. You've got your other ones, so they have a lot of people. So they think because their whole game is witchcraft and propaganda and making us believe, and so we're manifesting their witchcraft for them. See, we're actually, a lot of us are taking back our power and we're not doing it. So it's really throwing a wrench in their plans because their plans were, set in stone. Now, with the whole red folder theory, is they've all admitted and shown the world that they are alliance together. And there is a lot of genocide going on, right? So, they are doing these things, but it's not.
if you want, I can even send your interview to Carrie Cassidy on Project Camelot, but I don't know if I really trust her anymore because she seems to believe in Donald Trump and the US Corp, and anybody that believes in him and thinks he's going to do any good for anything is just sold out, I think. So I don't
Right,
know if
right.
it's worth it. I feel like I'm one of the few people I can trust because my agenda is awakening the truth, taking down this sociopathic political environment and getting us all back to a constitutional republic, or at least getting our constitutional freedoms back and our constitutional republic rights and our God-given freedoms, which have been just taken away every which way. So, but do you want to get
Okay,
back into
so
the red folders and what you were talking about?
so if I'm going to kind of piggyback on that because there's a lot to me being very significant to all this. So my theory is they are going to continue to get away with their crimes until really the world knows who I am. And another thing is I know that you said that you don't have anybody you could trust. If I could find someone to do my DNA, to do a test that I trusted so that I could prove that I am Abe Lincoln, that I am Tsar Nicholas II, that I am these people, and throughout history, because even all of my reincarnations are in museums, they're all over the world. So all I would need is to prove that, because the Nirsa Girsa is the quantum financial money. That's my inheritance. It's in my DNA. They're trying to steal it, and they're saying they're going to give it to all of us, when in reality they're not. They're
One
going
of
to
my
steal it from
sister's best friends is a geneticist, a woman. She's a very nice lady, and I've met her. And perhaps I could talk to my sister and see if we could set up some type of a private genetic testing and have her do something like that, because these like LabCorp and some of these
I
companies
can't trust any of them.
and Ancestry and all that, yeah, I think they're
No.
just harvesting DNA and using
Well,
it for cloning or whatever.
and you got to remember, there's a lot of people that don't want the world to know who I am. They went to a lot of, they've absolutely erased all of true history and rewrote it to hide me from the world.
So
So
what would
if
a
you,
genetic test do? Like, it would be able to match your DNA to Lincoln and other people, or what? How would that work?
well,
Do you know?
yeah, absolutely. First of all, um, I set up a trust in 1917 in my DNA as Tsar Nicholas II. And so it's my DNA as Simeon Toko that I was supposed to end world hunger, bring peace to all nations, all races, all cultures, all religions. And if you know the story about Simeon Toko, I actually offered them a piece of it to bring me to the United Nations to tell the world who I was. And they decided to chop me up in pieces, put me in four suitcases with radiation on the four corners of the earth. That's what they did instead of doing what they said they were going to do. And as Honest Abe Lincoln, I don't know if you know the story about him, they moved my body 17 different times. And they actually unearthed my casket after 30 years, and they found me totally preserved. First of all, I don't decay. In all my bodies, I don't decay. So it proves that I'm immortal. It proves that, granted, they used when they shot me as Abe Lincoln, they kept trying to kill me, and I kept coming back to life. And they were using new embalming fluid. My theory is that it had some kind of acid in it, which killed my blood so that my blood would not resurrect. So, and when I was Honest Abe Lincoln, I had made an alliance with Tsar Alexander III, which later became my father as Tsar Nicholas II. And I knew this as Honest Abe Lincoln that they were going to assassinate me. I sent my children off to live. And at the time, we didn't have much. It was it was a very tough time. It was very, as far as finances, I had one suit and one pair of shoes. I think I didn't have much. We didn't have much. It was the beginning of the Civil War. And again, I don't remember anything. I just know what I know. But I made an alliance with Tsar Alexander third, to go on the greenback system to get away from the Federal Reserve. And I was also trying to expose the Knights of the Knights of the Golden Circle, the secret societies, and I was also doing the trying to give the Black people a vote. I was trying to do that. And when they assassinated me, they changed all that. Everything I was doing, they were undermining. It was Albert Pike at the time who ordered my assassination, who is Donald Trump. And then John Wilkes Booth, who is William Quantrell, William Anderson, all the same person. Again, they take over the soul, they take over the body, because they were being hunted. So they would take over and they would change their identities over and over, so into different people. So I made that alliance as Tsar Nicholas II, and then as Honest Abe Lincoln with Tsar Alexander III, which later became my father, and then I reincarnated as him, and then I set the trust up. That trust was supposed to bring the new heaven on earth, if you will, because we were all living this Bible for thousands of years. So that was supposed to come through. I was supposed to end world hunger, bring peace to all nations, and we were all supposed to, that's how it was supposed to be when I was Simeon Toko. And when they killed me as Simeon Toko, this is going to get really deep. So I reincarnated as, so first of all, as Honest Abe Lincoln, my sons, JFK is my grandson. So I reincarnated into the original Caroline Kennedy. They wiped out the entire Kennedy family before the JFK assassination. The JFK that was in the car was a clone. He was not the real JFK. They killed us all. They shot us all. They shot me, Caroline Kennedy, but I reincarnated. I mean, resurrected. They took me to the Umbrella Corporation. That's when Stranger Things was really done to me, is in my last lifetime. It happened to me as a child too. They did experiments on me, but the major stuff that they did to me was in my last lifetime. That so the only one that survived is the real JFK Jr., who is David Quigley, and you can actually research him. He's telling his story. He wrote a book. The fake JFK Jr. is not the real JFK Jr. Again, they've all been taken over. They're all clones and, CIA,
Is that who
whatever.
Q is? Is that QAnon is really David
Yes.
Quigley?
No, it's actually the fake JFK Jr.
Oh,
Is
so the
Q.
fake JFK Jr. is alive. He is QAnon, but he's
Right.
also leading people down a false path.
Right. And David Quigley is the real JFK that was replaced. He's the real one. And what they did to him in his life is they tortured him and put him through a lot of MK Ultra and stuff like that. But he lived through it to tell his life too. I mean, his story too. He's actually got a book that he's got out there too.
Definitely check it out, and I'll start researching David Quigley.
And I'll send it to you. I think it's called Stolen Identity. Anyway, so
does he claim to be JFK Jr. then?
He is the real JFK Jr. They gave him the name David Quigley when they adopted him into a new family, and they tried to do mind control on him and everything else. The fake JFK Jr. was the one that replaced him. So
in a plane crash, and he didn't really die.
Well,
and
it was the helicopter crash. My theory is that he did die, and they just took his body. Again, he might have. I don't know. Either way, he's not the real one anyway. He was a clone to begin with. He wasn't the real one. So
I've tried to show people the video of the JFK assassination in the motorcade, and you can clearly see Jackie Onassis reach behind the pad of the car, pull out a gun, put right up to his head, and it blows the front of his brain out. I'm like, don't you see? She did. I mean, she was very stealthy, but she did that.
Right. She was. They were already replaced, and she was a CIA. They replaced her with CIA agents, and she did shoot him. You're absolutely right. And then she handed it to the Secret Service guy in the front. Right. Absolutely. So in that life, by the way, as Caroline Kennedy, after they shot me and I resurrected, they brought me to the Umbrella Corporation, and they breeded me with something. I know this to be true. Is I took those children, the ones that I could save, and I opened this door and I set them free. And then I took cyanide and killed myself. And then I was reborn in this lifetime.
And that was you as Caroline Kennedy did that. And then took the cyanide, and now you've been born Courtney.
Right.
And then this lifetime has been all crazy. Do you want to talk about I know you've said you've been killed 27 times in this life?
Yes. Car accidents, overdose, they've poisoned me, they've done all sorts of things. And my karmic dad used to say on every birthday, "How did you make it another year?" And I thought, that's a weird thing to say, but yeah, they were trying to kill me my whole life, but even before I was even born in the womb. So this is the thing. My mother and my grandmother, who were murdered. I know my mother was a famous singer. I don't know who she was. I haven't been able to figure that out yet, because everything.
You look a little like Celine Dion, a little bit, as far as like a little bit, not a lot, but somewhat, maybe. How old would your mother have to be? How old is Celine Dion? Is she old enough to be your mom? I don't know. Who do you think your mom might be?
I really have not found out. I know this. I do know this, and you got to go with where I believe they kidnapped me in Connecticut. There's some stories and that I always heard my whole life. And why they would tell them to me, I don't know. And my theory is they thought that they would be able to they thought they were going to be able to kill me and sacrifice me. They thought they were going to be able to swap identities with me. And because of the witchcraft and because of the low vibration and everything that they were sending my way and believing their stories, I was easily, manipulated because I believed in this religion. I believe, and that again, what you believe, you are. So believing in all that had me basically an easy target. That's why they were able to dump their karma on me, and it actually worked. Their witchcraft actually worked on me. All of the attempts that on my life actually worked, but I just survived it. But now it doesn't work on me because I know the truth. And really that's what sets you free. Yeah. And that's really that's what sets you free. If you walk in truth, nothing they can do, none of their witchcraft works.
That's how I feel. I'm suing Brevard County and the sheriff's the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, the Brevard County court system, the judges, but I'm operating and they've all committed fraud, racketeering,
right,
all kinds of stuff. And I'm coming from a truthful, like, hey, you guys have violated my freedoms, my rights. You've done this to me. You're violating the Constitution. It's all true. I'm not making up anything. I'm not trying to get over. And I'm actually not even really doing it just for me. When I'm done with this case, because I got my case dismissed. I was traveling in my car from a coffee shop to a print shop to print up an order, and the registration on my car had expired. Cop pulls up when I pulled into the parking lot, and he's like, "Hey, man, your registration expired. Give me your license." I'm like, "Well, I'm not a driver. I don't have one or need a license." He's like, "Well, give me your name." I go, "You can have my name. It's my name. I registered it on the record as my private property. If you want it, it's $500 cash up front." He's like, get out of the car. I have the video of this whole thing. I'll send you the video. I mean, I've recorded all this, me saying all this. I'm not embellishing. He goes, "Well, get out of the car." I go, "Yeah. You want me to get out of the car? I'll get out of the car for $500. He opened up the door, pulled me out of the car, charged me with obstruction without violence, handcuffed me, and they took me to jail. And then they were at jail. They wanted my picture and fingerprints. I was like, "You can have my picture and fingerprints for $2,500. They're my biometrics. I registered them on the record as my private property. Cash up front, $2,500. So then, instead of paying me, they strapped me to a chair, rolled me over to the biometrics area. They choked me and pulled me up by the jawbones, pried my fingers open, stole my fingerprints. I have that video too. So they're all, and then they forced me to go to court for like 2 years until finally I filed the right paperwork with the help of a lot of people across the country who are sick of this crap. And they had to dismiss my case. And now I'm suing all of them, the board of directors, the courthouse, the judge, the attorneys, the everybody.
Good for you, because it's a good old boy system, a brotherhood system, and they think they're above the law. And the truth is they have no rights. If you know the Black Law Dictionary, you know that they are a corporation. They are a corporation of criminals. First of all, they don't make an oath to fight for the sovereign free people. They make an oath to there is a secret society oath, right?
The fraternal order of police.
Right. Yeah. Right. So again, so and that's what it is. You have to know your truth. You have to know the truth and to walk in the truth. And really they have no rights. And I tell people all the time that, are going through like CPS and having problems with their children. The reality is, close your door. Do not open the door to them. You don't owe them anything. They cannot come into this is your fourth house. This is your domain. They have no right. And they know that. They try to bully you into believing that and that's what it is. It's all a bully. They're just a bully system.
Yeah. And as soon as you open up the door, they'll stick their foot in. And once they're in, you're hosed. Right. They're going to take you. And they're going to.
I've got a lot going on in my situation. Not only when they kidnapped me, they filed a death certificate as that baby, that when they kidnapped me as a baby, they filed a death certificate in my name, got that a life insurance policy. They filed 2 other death certificates in my name in this lifetime and got the life insurance policies. They have forged power of attorneys in my name. they've had a fraudulent doctor diagnose me with schizophrenia and that I'm incompetent and cannot take care of myself, so that so that they can say that they're collecting money to take care of me because I can't take care of myself.
They did that to
So
me in
it's
my
all
case.
fraudulent, huh?
They did that to me in my case. I said, I'm a living soul. I'm not a citizen. I'm not the all capitals name. When I was arraigning in the jail, this attorney was talking to us, and I go, hey, listen, I do not consent to being surety for these proceedings. I was sitting down on a bench, and he goes, I don't know what that means. And then he's like, you're first. And I went up in front of this judge in a video conference call ahead of like 70 other people in this room. And behind me, that same attorney says to the judge on camera, we might have a competency issue with this one. That's word for word. I remember everything that happened. And so from that point forward, they wanted me to go to a competency evaluation. So I went to one, the first one. When I got there, based on help with my legal private counsel, not lawyers, not legal, but people who know the sovereignty world. So I went there. I asked Dr. Jeffrey M. Williamson, hey, can anything I say or do here be used against me in a court of law? And he said, no. I go, great, put that in writing. He goes, no. I go, okay, well, then I'm going to go ahead and invoke my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. He goes, well, you can get in trouble for that. So he's like, just come in and let's do this interview. So I'm sitting there and I'm not answering any questions. He goes, I go, look, I've invoked my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I'm not answering any questions. I'm not doing an interview. He goes, you're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble doing this. I go, I don't know how many times I have to tell you, and this is the last time. I've invoked my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. I'm not saying anything. And I recorded this, and it's on my YouTube channel. I recorded everything that happened, and I got up and left. So the next docket calling that I'm there for, he zooms into the courthouse and says that he found me to be psychotic and delusional, even though I invoked my Fifth Amendment right to remain silent. And so, they are paying, and now I'm suing that guy too. And I hope he goes to prison because he's a bought and paid for psychologist who is going to give false testimony and get people incompetent because they don't want people like us sticking up for ourselves, calling them out on their BS, and they just want to shut us up, gag us with a public defender, and then send us off to whatever penalties and fines. It's a racket.
Right. So, okay. So this is what I've been dealing with my entire life. Okay. So I know all about it. So a couple of things. So again, they're trying to make me incompetent so they can take my trust. They've gotten my trust. Again, this is in my
I'll give
DNA.
you the paperwork to shut them down. I'll email it to you tomorrow.
So there's a lot to this. So so there's a lot to this.
It's okay. I have the paperwork, 2 documents, you file it. They won't be able to do anything to you.
Okay, so we'll definitely talk about this. So a couple things. So they've taken my unemployment. Apparently, they have depleted my Social Security. They have credit cards, houses, cars, all in my name. You got to remember, I am the connection. I am the energy that they're all celebrities, politicians. They're all foreign leaders. They're all getting off my energy. It's my energy they're stealing. So you got to remember, my ex-boyfriend is Lucifer. So everything's going through him, and he runs the judicial system, and he runs it. So this is the thing. And they think they're, because they got all the judges, all the lawyers, right? So, so what happened to me in, November 2nd, 2021, they cut my brakes. I drove into a house. They wouldn't let anybody look at my vehicle. I was telling everybody my brakes failed. Nobody would look at my brakes. They made me go to court, and I gave them, so I broke my back, my neck, punctured a lung, and broke 3 ribs within an hour on the hospital thing. They had me in a wooden
body stabilizer or a board or
something to keep myself so I wouldn't move. They brought me to the hospital, and they were telling me, we're not going to help you until you get this vaccine. And I was like, I'm not getting that vaccine. And they were like, well, we're not going to help you. And all of a sudden, my body lights up, glows, and they all are freaking out. I start going into convulsions, and they're like, don't move, don't move. And all of a sudden, my body heals itself in front of them. And then they all are like, whatever you want. They didn't want me to get they were like, they didn't mind. After that, they were like, what do you need? What do you need? We'll do whatever you want. They were so nice to me. I left the hospital that day. I gave them my urine, by the way. And the only thing I had in my urine, I had a doctor's a prescription for marijuana. So I had I took the jellies, marijuana, and I was going through the dispensary at the time. That's the only thing I had in my system. Well, I gave them my urine because I had no reason not to. Well, when I went to court, come to find out, I had ecstasy in my system. I had cocaine in my system. I had this, I had that. It was all a setup. The hospital was involved. The paramedics were involved. The police department was, they were all involved in my attempted murder, first of all. They were all, and then when I went to court, it was all to set me up so they can put me in jail so they could torture me. I knew it. So the Judge Wayne Culver, said to me, well, at first I was telling him, well, I said, Judge, my brakes had failed. That's what happened. He said, strike that off the record. You don't want to discriminate yourself. And I thought to myself, discriminate myself? That's the truth. He took that off the record. And then when I agreed, because I didn't know my rights at the time, they wanted me to, it was when I went to court was in December before Christmas, and they said, we'll give you until January to turn yourself in, but you're coming back to jail for 4.5 months. So you're going to be sentenced for 4.5 months. And I agreed to it because otherwise they weren't going to let me leave that day. And I didn't know my right. And so I agreed to it. And when I was leaving, he said to me, wherever you go, Miss Smith, in the universe, we will, if you're not here in January, we will hunt you down and we will drag you back here. And I thought to myself, there was no victims. It was a traffic violation, and you're going to hunt me down in the universe I knew right then and there he was demonic. And he's a secret. I mean, come to find out, he rapes and murders children.
Really?
Yes. His name is Judge Wayne Culver. Judge Wayne, Judge Kenneth Lester. They go on a trip once a year and they rape and murder children. And then the lawyer that was trying to get me all set up was Larry. The lawyer is Larry Siegel. It's all mafia secret societies. So I knew then. So after I went to court that time, I started researching the Black Law Dictionary, and I started researching my rights. And I thought, they have no right. First of all, there was no victims. The house that I drove into was already paid off. And so there was no reason for him to threaten me like that.
And nobody got hurt except for you.
Right. It was a setup. So I knew right then and there. And ever since, they're all criminals, by the way. And I told you that my ex-boyfriend runs the Vipers Club. He's the occult leader for that Brotherhood gay club in DeLand, Florida. They are involved in human trafficking and organ harvesting, prostitution, drug running, everything you can imagine, racketeering, everything you can imagine, they're involved. And all of their crimes, they're literally trying to set me up, and they're setting up innocent people, and they're taking the fall for their crimes. And they're putting people behind bars for their crimes. And it's these judges, these lawyers, these police chiefs. It's a police chief. Governor DeSantis is involved in he's skull and crossbones. And then you got
Yale. He went to Yale.
And then you got Mayor Demings that's involved, which is in Orlando, which is the Mayor Demings. They're all involved in this human trafficking, organ harvesting ring. And I've been trying to expose them, and they're trying to, and during all this time, they're trying to tell the courts that my ex-boyfriend went to the courts and told him that he's married to me and he has a child with me. I have no children and I'm not married. They have done all sorts of things in my name. And nobody, who do I talk to? They're all work for them.
Just me, and I'm gonna
Just you.
publicize your video widely.
Exactly. Thank you. Because but I do have a lot of proof. Okay, so I will tell you, when all this kind of started to transpire 3 years ago, and my karmic dad, when he faked his death, and I found out that he was the Freemason goat, and that my family was not my family, and that they were actually all serial killers. That's what they are, serial killers. I started to on my TikTok, my Facebook, my YouTube, I started to go scroll through it, and it would be these readings, these channel messages telling me my story. It's been on every platform. My story is out there. I've got all the documentation. I can show you all of the story. I mean, it's all out there, but nobody's been arrested. It's been out there. They know that this is happening, but nobody's been arrested. That means all 3-letter agencies involved. I mean, that you're talking about the DEA, the DOJ, the FBI, the CIA, they're all involved. They all know who I am. Of course they know who I am. They knew who I was before I was born.
Well, you know
they
what?
Were part of
maybe on the next interview, we can get your paperwork together and do it on the whole situation, because I would like to uncover, it's interesting. We got 10 minutes on this one, so it's interesting. I just started working on a project with a lady who's trying to get a stage play done for a musical, and I don't want to say her name. I don't want to say where she's from, because this is interesting. And this is a cathartic stage play for her because of the things that happened to her, with her being raped by her father being what appears to be a serial killer for 50 years of African American men in a certain state. So I was like, and I said to her before, she didn't tell me this, I go, it sounds like from what you're saying that your father is a serial killer. And she said, yep, he is. And I know it and I believe it. I go, well, the city that you're in is probably completely corrupt. I'm going to contact a black male private investigator in another city to investigate. And so I did that. I called him 2 days ago, and now she signed a contract with him, and he's going to go after her father. And this is probably a statewide murder operation. And I feel the same thing about what you're going through, that what has to happen here is you need a female white private investigator who is in attune with your philosophy, with your thinking, to seek, do the research, tie it all together, and then bring the whole thing down. And we're going to work on that and get it done, because it's important. Because I just did it in this state, and it's in motion right now as we're speaking. We can do it in Florida, and everybody's tied in. You just said DeSantis, the sheriffs, the police, the judges, the attorneys, the motorcycle gangs, the secret societies, and the organ harvesting and the trafficking and the drugs.
All the presidents, right. So with me, it's a little. It's even more, because you got to look at. They've been involved in doing this to me lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. They murdered me as Honest Abe Lincoln. They murdered me as Tsar Nicholas II. They wiped out my whole family. So in each lifetime they've been doing this, and they did it to me in this lifetime. So I have so much, and they've been getting away with this for thousands of years. We have to stop that. We have to expose that. We have to.
I think this is the direction this is also heading in, because it's one thing to tell your story, which is you're doing what you're doing here, but it's important. And I'm solution oriented. It's important to have a solution, some way to take an action step to correct this bad situation.
Right.
And so we
Right.
got to do something about it. I do things about things. I have my own case. I handle it. I wasn't going to just sit there and like get abused. And my whole life, if I saw something that needed to be done, I took care of it. I'm not just sitting here bitching and complaining and saying, "Ah, this is the story and this is terrible." No, we're going to do something about this. Something needs to be done
Right.
about this. I'm an action person. You're an action person. I'm aligning with other action people. We're going to take action. And maybe this is the kind of things, these things are going to be the catalyst for cleaning, draining the swamp, so to speak, to use their term. But we're in an aquarium that's been turned into a murky, mucky swamp, and all
Right.
the garbage needs to be drained out of it. And we need to have a clean, new, sane environment back that to live in and live in that 1,000 years of peace. If I'm going to live
Right.
867 years, I want to live in 1,000 years of
Exactly.
peace, past the
Exactly.
rapture and the apocalypse and all that.
So this has a lot to do with the targeted individuals too, with the okay, so has a lot to do. So there was a contract with the NSA that they were able to target us, target certain people, put us on a list and target people. I don't know if you know about targeted individuals, but they're all over. And the NSA contract was not renewed. It's because they were not able to take my identity and take a. It's because I'm the I guess catalyst, if you will. Again, they started this program in my last lifetime. So that's like Stranger Things. That's how they started it. That's where they started learning and doing all this to us. So it's been going on for a while, but the NSA contract has not been renewed. I know that for a fact. Whatever they're doing today is rogue, means that they're all criminals. There was a time when the government was paying their expenses and their all their expenses so that they could do this to people. Now they're not doing that. They're doing this on their own because they're criminals.
I have a theory about that and the NSA and Edward Snowden. When I was a counterterrorism analyst at Southern Command from 2002 to 2004, I was doing reporting on human trafficking, weapons trafficking, drug smuggling, and all that stuff. And Southern Command's area of responsibility was Mexico and Central America and South America. Well, around the beginning of 2002, Northern Command stood up as a command. Northern Command's area of responsibility is Canada, the United States, and Mexico. So I had to turn over all of my Mexico reporting to Northern Command. Northern Command has a J2. Every command has a J2, the intelligence section. The J2 collects all source intelligence on its area of responsibility. So what does that mean? We got the U.S. corporation in D.C., has militarily invaded the United States, with Northern Command headquartered in Colorado Springs, Colorado,
Mm-hmm.
and their area of responsibility being Canada, the United States, and Mexico. They're actively collecting all source intel on the United States. And
Mm-hmm.
while that was happening, this whole Edward Snowden thing blew up. And I think Edward Snowden pointed the finger at NSA as a distraction to make people not realize that Northern Command was in the United States collecting on everyone in America. And so I kind of think that Snowden was a bit of a decoy or a
Yeah,
diversion.
controlled opposition.
Yeah. What do
Yeah,
you think?
like they all are. Same. Oh, okay.
Something happened. We glitched, but
Yeah,
we still got 2 minutes and 30. Yeah, maybe the NSA is listening now, or the CIA. What was your answer to that? A bit.
probably. Well, it's funny that you say the locations because the Knights of the Round Circle where they have this. That's where they're all. That's their base too. It's all. That's kind of similar. It just made me think of that because again,
Near
it
the base of,
all
I think,
has to
Cheyenne
do.
Mountain or something like that. Is it Cheyenne Mountain in Colorado or?
Cheyenne Mountain's one of them. Yeah, there's a couple though. I mean, you got the Denver airport too, which is all yeah, like you said, but Cheyenne Mountain.
I want to ask you this. Have you heard of David Pallades and Missing 411, his book series about the pattern of missing people that are going missing under certain types of circumstances in national parks in the United
Oh yeah,
States? And
Yeah,
what
yeah.
do you think that's going? Do you think those are creatures? Do you think something's going on? You think they're being abducted for harvesting? What's with that?
There's a lot of theories. I do believe that they've made a lot of different, what call them whatever you will, creatures, things like that, and they're releasing them. And they're also with CERN, they're opening portals to the underworld. So things are coming in that aren't always visible to the naked eye.
Like in
For
Stranger
example,
Things.
yeah, yeah. I mean, like Bigfoot's, they're
And I think we got a
okay.
plenty for this show. This will be a good like 3 hour and something minute show, which is remember Art Bell in the old days? He used to have 3 hour shows. Did you ever listen to Art Bell Coast to Coast AM on the radio?
Um, doesn't sound familiar to me, but again, I've listened to so many people and I have so many, a lot in my head, but actually it does kind of sound familiar
George
now.
Norrie
Yeah.
now, he took over for Art Bell on Coast to Coast AM. It's like an AM overnight
I do
talk
think,
show.
yeah, I think so. I think so.
And it used to be a 3 hour show. And, to cover the topics that we're covering, an
I
hour is
think
just
so.
not going to cut it. An
Yeah.
hour is not enough time. So
Oh
we're
yeah.
doing 3 hours.
We're probably gonna have to do this more because there's so much more to talk about. Because again, I mean, if you look at if you wanted to take some 3 hours and break down the Bible, I could tell you all about that, how they changed everything, what they did. I mean, how they did it, and how they
We could
basically,
wind up
which would
doing a
be
whole
fun.
series of interviews then.
We could because
We
it's a
will.
lot.
We'll
It's a
do a
lot.
whole
Yeah,
series of interviews.
it's a
We'll
lot.
just keep pumping out the information, waking people up, getting the truth out there, and just doing it.
So we're going to talk about the Bigfoot, but I also want to bring up, because we're talking about this, is a lot of the people, even the Trump train, are deceived. They do not, obviously, they don't know. If you look at, he was crowned Red Dragon 2016. He declared himself the king of Israel. Revelations 12:9, that old red serpent dragon that deceived the whole world. And not just a few people, but the whole world into worshiping the beast. He is the Antichrist. He's Abaddon, the destroyer. So my theory is even the secret societies, they don't know what the right hand's doing with the left, right? Everything's a secret. The Navy doesn't know what the Marines are doing, and the vice versa. Everything is a secret. And the truth is, Trump is speaking to all these patriots in these secret societies. The truth is, he hates the United States. He hates the patriots almost as much as he hates me, Yeshua. So again, he's deceiving the whole world. So the truth is, even the ones that are in it are not really in it, because if he wipes this out, he wipes all of us out. So they need to know this. They think he's for the patriots and he's this great guy and he's going to save us all. Well, that's not the truth. He's working with the Democrats. They're in the same club. And so again, people need to know he is right there with Jeffrey Epstein raping these children. He's the same. He's in it, right? So
I know. I read the indictments. I read the New York indictments that he was charged with rape, and it's still out there. I have family members who love Trump, and they believe he's going to save, make America great again, and it's all just a scam. I tell them, but I don't want to fight with my family, so whatever they want to believe, I can't save everybody.
That he is Doe number 176, right? Okay, so
what does that mean?
So you just know about the ones with his name on it. Well, what you don't know is all the indictments of him being labeled number Doe
John Doe number 176.
He's all over those indictments because they were buddies, they were partners.
I show them pictures and videos. I'm like, look, he's there. He's got his arm around him. He's smiling with Jeffrey Epstein. Right. How do you not get it? How are you not seeing that they were buddies? Don't you think that he went to the island and raped people?
So hear me out. So there's proof that he actually had private parties with just him and Jeffrey Epstein with 26 young girls, all under the age of 17. Not to mention that, but he's got millions of victims that he's silencing. He literally is silencing them, and they're afraid to come out because remember, he's Pepe Orsini. So it's not there. He's the mafia. So he is the mafia. So people are scared, and people need to know this. A lot of people want to come out, but they're scared to death to come out because he's threatening their families, their friends, their neighbors. He's threatening, and that's what they do. They assassinate your character and they destroy your life. So then you're, broke and and what they've done to me. And the reason I actually moved to Texas, which was good for me. I mean, I'm in a safer place. But where I was living in Georgia, my roommate stole I had $10,000 in cash. I'd been living, I could not work because everywhere I would work, I'd be harassed, poisoned on my job. They would poison me. And again, I don't die, so they just waste their poison. But anyway, it was happening over and over. And my last roommate stole $10,000 from me. And their hope was to get me put on the street, homeless, so then they could really attack my character and, make me look like I'm this horrible person because they're trying to set me up with crimes and that I didn't commit and trying to make me look like I'm, a prostitute and all this other bad things. So it really worked out that I moved here and I'm safe and I'm in a better environment. Money's a problem. I don't have any, but again, and again, I mean, if I could just get a portion of what they owe me, even my social security or my unemployment that they stole from me, they even did my taxes in my name. And I haven't done my taxes in 2 years, but yet they filed taxes in my name and got my taxes. And I don't know who to call. I don't know who to talk to because they're all in on it. So see, this is a conversation. So I need somebody that can look into my case, look into my name, and because I can prove with my very bank account what money I've used and what money's come in, it's all gonna it's a paper trail. But they figure if they can hide me, they can get away with their crimes. See, I'm the conduit to actually break this whole thing open and take the whole system down. My very existence shatters the fake religion, the fake government, the fake healthcare system, all of it, the insurance, everything is a scam. It's all interconnected to me. I am the womb, per se, with the maritime laws that they use to bring everybody into this system. I'm that person. So I'm literally I'm very significant to the whole thing. So we're definitely going to do more interviews because I have so much knowledge. And again, you're the only one that I know that I trust that, that's on the same page that, that what's going on.
Yeah,
And so many people.
My agenda, I'm not sold out to the government or the agenda.
Right.
I want the truth to get out and I want to change things because I'm really
Me
upset
too.
about the whole world and what's going on in it. The
Right.
fraud.
And see, and some of the people that I have talked to, they've said, "Oh, I believe you, but we're not getting involved because they don't want their whole life turned upside down, so they're afraid."
Yeah, and I don't care. I'm not afraid.
Right.
I don't care if I get killed. Honestly, I've already faced death several times.
Yeah.
I have nothing to lose. I've accomplished so much in my life. Now I have a goal to save the world, and this isn't about me.
Right.
I don't care about money. I don't care about freedom. I'm going to do whatever I can to expose the truth and put all those criminals in prison and free everybody financially.
Right.
Everybody's a debt slave. You're getting screwed over because your money's being stolen, and that's the only real control that they can have over you.
Right.
But right now you're in a safe place, and that's important. And if you can just maintain that for a while, some people are going to see this. I have some friends, I think, that are going to see this, and I think some people are going to even help. And just be patient and know that you're on the other side of the seven deaths, the seven things that you had mentioned, and now we're on the way to healing the earth getting the truth out there and
Yeah.
collapsing all this stuff. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
it's all going to be good from now on. It's
Yeah.
everything's going to go good, and this is what my whole life has kind of culminated up into this, and the things that I'm getting involved in, your interview, what I'm doing with this other person, and just my projects that I'm doing, and all the people I'm starting to get involved with, my own private endeavors. It's all now culminating with the collapse of the corporations and the evil people, and the good on earth coming to fruition now. So I
So
wouldn't worry. Just
I also want to mention, with with the indigenous people and how we were supposed to get the money back that they were supposed to pay the reparations. That's also connected to me. So they figure if they can hide me, they don't have to do that. They don't have to pay them back, right? And that's important too, because this land belongs to us. They're the intruders. It does not belong to them. And that's the other thing we need to, so we'll work on that together, because that's what we actually have the right.
there's a
They have no right.
there's a program I'm starting called Adverse Possession for Homeless People, AP for
Yes.
HP, where we just go start taking over these abandoned houses and buildings and start getting people off the streets and taking the land. And the taxes are all fraudulent,
Right.
and we rewrite the land patent in the name of the new possessor of the land, and that removes it from the county assessor's parcel list, and therefore they can't be taxed. So it's tax
Wow.
free, and it's possessed now by the occupant and the people who were in there, and we could clean up homelessness across the United States and the world. AP for HP, adverse possession for houseless people.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Good.
so
Good to
it's a
know.
legit thing. Look up adverse possession. It's real. It's not squatting. It's adverse possession, where you go into an abandoned property and you overtly take control and start fixing it up, cleaning it up, living there, and making it your home. Possession is 9/10 of the law. And you're right. Nobody has rights to this land. This is God-given
Right.
land, and
Right.
nobody should be able to take anybody out of their home,
Right.
you know.
Right. Well,
Can you go back to when we got cut off, the Bigfoot issue with missing
yes, yes,
411 in the
yes,
mountains?
yes, yes.
If you can remember
Yeah.
what you
So
had
I was
said.
saying that so my theory is they've created a lot of these beings, and again, they're on the other side, but when they come into this realm, they kind of look like what they were when they were created. And when they die, and again, are they making it? They're making them in labs, they're making them in underground facilities, and they're releasing these things. They're also they've dug up a lot of in the Antarctic, that's where they spend a lot of time. There is a portal there, and it's a portal to the underworld. And they're able to bring in these beings, again from the underworld. Now, I know you probably, because you probably have something. It's significant because you're in Florida with what happened in Miami when they had the. So, do you know when they put the
Going into that thing where all the people saw the things at the mall that were running
right,
around in the
right.
video?
So
Yeah, I remember that.
when they put the calculations in, they flipped the calculations in upside down, or I guess they flipped them backwards or something. It came from Antarctica. So that's where it was a portal from Antarctica that came there. So that was directly connected.
So for those beings to come in, they were supposed to come in Antarctica, but suddenly they appeared in Florida
No, they
because
were in Antarctica, and somehow when they flipped the coordinates, it brought them there. So I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was meant to happen or if those were kids playing and that did it accidentally. But they were, because I think there were kids that did it, right? Whether it was done by, or I don't know. I just
I
know the
don't
story
know.
we've been told.
There's a lot of conflicting information. The government,
Right.
the mass media said that it was just
Kids.
fireworks and a fight, but then people started reporting that they were seeing these creatures,
Mm,
and then it kind of just disappeared. It went away.
mm. Mhm.
Kind of like what happened with that woman on the plane. She was like, that is not a human. That person is not
Right.
real. That could have been a setup, but something like that. The media just seems to move on from one thing to another. They distract us with something else. And then the real important issue
Well,
is, what the hell were those things in Miami?
that happens. Okay, so the theory about that is okay. So they can look like us. Okay, there's several different species. You've got the gray aliens that take over the soul and they take over the body, but then you've got these reptilians that also they can mask themselves and they can look like us. It's almost like they're doing how
Shape
they're able to
shifting,
do it,
shape
huh?
shifting, shape
They
shifting
shape shift,
reptile. I
right?
put
And
that in my movie, Hollywood and Vine, on Amazon Prime. This reptilian drinks blood of a prepubescent child and then shapeshifts into a human and gives this speech about how we eat all these dead animals.
right. That's exactly what it is. That's what they use. They use our blood. They are, that's what they do.
Adrenochrome.
Right. Adrenochrome. Right. And all of them, all the famous people, they do dialysis with our blood to cleanse their blood to keep themselves looking young and never aging. And and then when you get them off of it, they age real old real quick. And they were doing that in the beginning of in the beginning of 2020, when Trump was saying, it wasn't 2020, it was actually more like 2022, the end of 22. He was saying that, a lot of those people were starting to look old and they weren't getting their adrenochrome, like Ellen DeGeneres and a few of the other ones were coming out and they looked really old. Now they look young again because they're back to doing it again, because it was coming out, the truth was coming out, and they had to stop. And they were saying that all of them got executed at Gitmo. They weren't executed. None of them were executed. That's a lie, we've been told. And no children have been found alive that are the same children that went missing. They might have been replaced. Because another thing, I didn't tell you this, my daughter was replaced at 5 years old. She's
Yeah.
28. She's not my daughter.
Do you
And
ever
I know when it happened too. I know exactly when it happened. And it's really strange because, again, somehow we know more when we're asleep. Somehow we're more aware of things that are going on. I knew that in my sleep, but I didn't know it in this realm, which is really
There's something
strange.
about our subconscious mind, and while we're
Right.
sleeping, and I've been doing this pretty much. My dad taught me this when I was a little kid. He never used an alarm clock, but he always got up at like 5 o'clock in the morning every day without an alarm clock, got up, ate his breakfast, went to work, worked all day. So I can I'll set an alarm on my phone. Let's say I got to get up at 6. I'll set an alarm on my phone. I will wake up like 3 minutes before my alarm goes off, like every single time. And if it doesn't go off, I will wake up exactly when I need to, so I won't be late to where I want to be. It's like there's
Mm.
my major soul is looking down, going, "Hey, buddy, you got to get up. You're supposed to get up. You're going to get up, And we have this, our higher consciousness or our soul that knows everything. It knows what time it is. It knows what we
Right.
need to do. It knows the future. It knows the past, and it's more powerful than we are as this physical apparition, that we're living in.
Right.
So I totally get that.
Right. So to get back to the Bigfoot, so my theory is that because of CERN, that they've opened some portals and certain things are coming in and out, and they can actually appear and then they can disappear. It's almost like you walk through dimensions. I don't know exactly. And I know that there are portals all over. They can actually make portals, and they're doing that a lot too. What they're doing with the chemtrails, they're making X's in the sky. They're also making circles and portals. Those are portals they're opening. And that's for the underworld. It's for things to come in. And people have seen things come through them.
I
So
have a
that's
feeling there's a
happening
lot
too.
of cloaked aircraft in the sky that are there. We
Yes.
just can't see them.
100%. They have invisible cloaking too. And people. are sometimes they can wear those too. So
What do you think the deal is with ghosts? That was one of the things I wanted to ask, as far as what happens when a ghost is in a house and it's doing the same thing all the time, maybe like knocking on the wall or making things happen. Are these disembodied souls that are trapped because of something, or what's your overall opinion about ghosts?
yeah, so there's a lot to that, and my theory is that might be an like a almost like a imprint in in the an imprint, like where it repeats itself. Is there something trapped there? Hot chances are yes, or it's an imprint, one or the other. And again, I don't have an answer for sure, so it's one or the other. My theory is it could be a soul trap. I do know, again, if you don't go through the light, which is the soul catcher, and my theory about that is they're not doing that right now. Somehow, some way, the moon has been shut down and the soul catcher has been shut down. So what happens to the people that are dying right now? That's my
They're
question.
stuck
I'm not sure
somewhere.
yet. I
I've
don't.
heard that there are one of my theories is that there's two lights and you got to choose the right one, and that the aurora borealis is the soul creation mechanism and the recycling, because it maybe corresponds to our chakra, and then when we die we go to the aurora borealis and recycle through there and then come back into a body. But that's just a theory. I don't know, but there's something about the aurora borealis, magnetic center, our chakra system, and then reincarnation.
So yeah, so I know the soul catcher, you go through, that's the light you see when you die and you are reborn, but you go through the soul catcher, which is on the moon, which was on the moon, and it wipes your memory. And this is the thing, like I think I was telling you this earlier, they tell us that we sign these contracts to come down here, and we this is a school, and we chose these, this family. The truth is we were put in these families to offset their karma. We didn't choose this. They chose this to offset our karma. Most of us are not in our true families. Now, me, I'm a little different because they kidnapped me, but everyone I've ever met that's kind of like me has a family that's very karmic, that's not their family. It's not their family. It's because we've been put in these families.
I may have been put into a Sicilian mafia family. My father's mother was Princess Anna Maria Lavori, a Sicilian princess, and
Right.
I think that. But my dad was a really altruistic, good, hardworking person who seemed very honest, and I don't know anything otherwise. And my mom, she's still alive. She's very passionate. She's Greek and Russian, German, Polish Jew. And I have a feeling that I did choose this family for a certain reason because of my family dynamics, and that, maybe this was the right family for me because of where I am now, and excuse me, what I'm doing with my life. But I can understand what you're saying about souls just being used by these overlords who are just
Uh-huh.
throwing them into families to help with, karmic, I guess, reconciliation,
Yeah.
and then deflection. I don't know.
Right, right, right. Well, so, and I know there's so much to talk about because originally, when we would die, we would be cremated, and we would have trees, a family tree that you would be your ashes would be buried in that tree, and you would always come back to that family. And women, it was a woman tree because the women would be married off, but it would always be connected to the family. But the men always were buried in the family tree with their ashes. And the way it is now, we go through the soul catcher. We don't it's and we're split up from our real families. Now you might be in a good family, but it doesn't always mean that it's your family. And it may have. I mean, again, some people get lucky. And again, also, the theory was most of them were supposed to make it right in this lifetime. So even though they might have had bad karma, they were still supposed to make it right. Even my family was supposed to make it right in this lifetime. This was the lifetime that they were all supposed to, and they chose to double down and triple down and do what they did. So, again. So anyway, about Bigfoot, I believe that they're creating and making all sorts of um creatures, really.
What do you think about us humans? Do you think we were genetically modified also through
So
technology?
so the ones with souls, now obviously our bodies have changed because we've been our genetics with them have been genetically altered, but those with souls are different than the ones that have been genetically modified. That started to happen in the Egyptian days, and that started with the mummifying and everything. They were actually making hybrids with the animals and people. They were trying to merge them together, and they were trying to create a lot of things. That's when, so Moses, which was Akhenaten, so the Akhenaten of, everybody sees, that's not Akhenaten. That's Amun Ra. That's Obama. So they swap everything out. Akhenaten was Moses, by the way. So, and Utnapishtim was Noah. I was a giant. So back in those days, I did away with worshiping the old gods, the old time gods, and I went to worshiping just the sun, because the sun is the life force. Without the sun, everything died. So they say, oh, the sun is so bad because, but it's no, the sun is the life force. Everything dies, and the real sun anyway. So, and I didn't want people to worship me. I wanted them to worship the sun that gave us life, that gave us. So, of course, they make everything, they change everything, and they make it assassinate my character and make it seem like I did away with these great gods. And reality, the gods were not good. They were Zeus, Odin, and they were awful. Seth, Isis. So Seth is Barack Obama. Isis is Odin, because they could swap back then, and they
The
had
District
Horus.
of Columbia is the district of ISIS, from what I've researched.
Yeah, I believe that we are the old world, not the new. We're the East, not the West. We're Egypt, Babylon, Israel, the real Israel, and Rome.
What do you
Yeah.
think the pyramids are used for? Was that part of the free energy system around the world and
Yes.
the communication system? Because there's pyramids everywhere.
Yes. It is free. It was free energy, absolutely free energy, and it was all based on the way it was with the how. Yes, it was all. I don't. Again, they flipped everything upside down on us, but with the ley lines were connected to. Yeah, everything was connected. It was all free energy.
What do you think is below the Pyramid of Giza? And do you
I
know?
know one of my bodies, Osiris, is buried there. I do know that. It is gigantic, whatever it is. I just know there's a lot underneath there. I haven't studied it. I just know I'm buried under there. And my theory is they're actually tapped into my DNA because it is an energy grid, that they're actually able to tap into my DNA. So, Alexa, Google, um,
Siri?
um, Siri, and the Sophia, the robot the AI robot, they're all connected to my DNA, and I believe it's to Osiris. Also, I know one of my bodies is buried under Mecca, where they walk around. One of my bodies is buried there too. I believe it's Mary Magdalene. Yeah,
Interesting. And she was the depiction of what Mary Magdalene was or did or who she was has probably been bastardized over the years. What do
absolutely.
you know about Mary Magdalene?
So,
What was she? Who was she?
okay, so I'll tell you. So Paul is Donald Trump, who never converted, was synagogue of Satan, never was persecuting Christians, and Elon Musk is Peter, who I said, "Get thee behind me, Satan." So they raped Mary Magdalene. They poisoned her and buried her alive. She never had a child, so she was Christ, right?
What
I
about the
mean,
Virgin
she was
Mary?
the one that was teaching. She was the one that was teaching everyone the mysteries of everything. I also am Prophet Manny. I wrote the Gospel of Manny. They flayed me to death. I'm also Hafiz, Meitzer Eckhart. I'm a lot of like I wrote a lot of different things over the time. I'm the original. There was two Buddhas. I'm the original. That's I go back. Yeah. So everything again, you got everything was good in the beginning, and they took over my identity, and they because the second Buddha was a pedophile.
That's
So they
terrible.
always that's what they are though. That's what they are. So every
Yeah,
time
this
they would take
whole
over my identity, they would make people think that that's who I was. And so everything's gotten, messed up. I mean, I'm the original Enoch. There was two. The original Messiah. There's two. Right.
yeah, the Book of Enoch is I haven't read it, but I know a lot of books were taken out of the Bible. All right, we got 10 minutes. A lot of books were taken out of the Bible, I guess to keep us from knowing the real truth about the history of the world
Mm-hmm.
and our power, and the Catholic
Mm-hmm.
Church and the Vatican want to control everybody with religion. Um you got 10 minutes, I would say. What do you, first of all, I'm going to say to everybody who watches this, if they want to donate funds to you, do you have any contact information or Zelle where they could Zelle you money or anything like that? If you want, you could say that. And that way, if anyone wants to send you some money to help you out financially, they can just Zelle you cash.
Thank you. I've got a cash app. It's $ eternal light 7.
Okay, $ Eternal Light 7. And I'll put that in the description of the video too, because
Thank
you never know.
you.
People might want to help and send some money. And
Thank you. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Because it's not like, you know, we, I don't like money, but we have to use it right now in this system to survive. And you want to be able to
Unfortunately, yeah.
survive. And it's just
Right.
horrible. And you've been getting persecuted and taken advantage of and oppressed, and people are trying to harm you and stop the truth from coming out. And from this whole interview, I don't see anything crazy about you at all. This is all very, very lucid, clear
Thank you.
thinking, and there's
Yeah.
a whole lot of information. And I know we've only just touched the
Right.
surface on a lot of different topics. So we're going to definitely have to do more interviews
Yeah.
like this. Maybe we can pick a topic and then just stay within that topic and
Sure.
then expand in it and get all the information out. Like I would love to do something on the Bible because
Okay.
people have been trying to decode the Bible for years.
Right.
We could
Right.
do some stuff on the Emerald Tablets of Thoth. So
Yeah.
I think what would be interesting right now is let's talk about what you see for the next 5 or 6 minutes, what the future holds, what's going to happen the rest of this year with the election, with the government, with the corporation, with the world, with dramatic events. Where do you think things are going? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, the election is a clown show. It's absolutely a clown show. I
Mhm.
mean, neither one of them. There's no red or blue paradigm. And the truth is, Biden's been dead since 2006. He's not even president. There is no president. They sold the White House. They sold the United States to foreign countries in sections. And my theory is the red folders, everyone that went that's aligned with this, call it what you will, satanic Nazi takeover, um, in which is genocide over the whole world. You got all these countries that are, so we're not hearing about a lot of these countries that are being genocide. But this is actually happening. And so my theory is that, that's what they're planning on doing. So what we need to do is combat it and expose them and tell, this is the thing, people in the United States that think that Trump is going to save them, that they are aligning with him, they don't realize he's not going to save them. They're just going to be used to do his bidding. And then, so they're not,
You think
again, they
he's
don't
gonna?
want,
So you think he's gonna get elected president? Kamala Harris is just
I,
a.
I personally don't think there's going to be an election. At least not, I don't see either one of them. I'm personally I'm getting behind Dr. Jill Stein. Do you know anything about her? Okay. So she doesn't align with the Synagogue of Satan. She is for women's rights, and she's the Green Party. She is for the earth. She she's been trying to, she's been running since 2012 in all different elections. I mean, she's been trying to do this. Everything that I have read and researched, I completely agree with. She was asking, she was calling for Benjamin Netanyahu's arrest when he was here. She was calling him out. She was raised Jewish, but she is not aligned with the Synagogue of Satan. She actually wants to give Palestine back their land. So she is doing everything that I stand for. Everything she's doing is, to me, is righteous. I haven't found anything negative about her yet. So that's who I am backing. That is who I am trying to push out there.
That's Dr. Jill Stein.
Dr. Jill Stein.
For the Green Party.
She's for the Green Party, yeah.
Interesting.
No, she was supposed to debate Biden and Trump, but they bullied her and wouldn't let her on because, again, they run all the media. They run everything. And just like they're doing to me, they bully. So she did her own private debate, and you could actually pull it up. But you could actually research her, look her up if you get a chance. I do do a lot of posts when she sends me stuff, and I always send it out and let people know. I'm letting people know there's another choice. A lot of people don't know there's another choice.
A lot of people I know, they think there's only two choices.
Right.
Maybe a third choice, and the fake Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Yeah, Robert Kennedy. Robert Kennedy he's in it. He's in it. They're all in it. They're all the same heads of the same snake. There is no red or blue paradigm. There's one of the same, and they're two heads of the same snake. So Kamala Harris, we know she's Barack Obama, and Donald Trump is, who he is. I mean, you got Hitler, and you got a known pedophile who Donald Trump, because he's my karmic dad, who molested me as a child, so I know he's a pedophile. And then you got, Barack Obama, which is, pretending he's Kamala Harris. So again, I can't get behind any of them.
Oh, me either. I'm not even voting. But now that you mentioned that, if I do vote, I will vote Dr. Jill Stein.
Yeah.
And
look into her stuff, because I really think she just has not been able to get, people don't know because the media is completely bought and sold. So where is she going? It's just online. So you got to look for her online.
3 minutes.
Okay.
In the near future this year, any kind of cataclysmic events? It's now 888, August 8th, 2024, which is 888. You don't think anything's really going to happen today, but something's going to happen with fire. What do you think is going to happen?
I think they want to do the fire. I think that's what they were planning on doing. Now, my theory is too many people are waking up, and again, you got to remember, they have to steal my identity before they can do this. So they have to swap destinies with me. So as long as I stay in my truth and they're not, I really feel like we have a chance. Now, again, if they hide me, they can continue to get away with their crimes, which they're harming and murdering people every day, right? So we want to stop that. But my theory is, now I do believe that they're going to do some, they've got the whole CGI in the sky, which they're going to say that there's aliens. They're going to say
holographic invasion. Yeah.
And they're going to say that, and they're going to try to do the fake rapture event, with I believe that's coming. When exactly? I think that
they might be able to use nanotechnology and the vaccines to change people's vibration and suddenly make them rapture or disappear, and then send them to another dimension or something, or evaporate, like spontaneously combust. And I'm going to make sure that I get you in touch with this geneticist, and I'm going to find out if she can do a genetic test to do a real legit one, so you can get real feedback to find out if your genetic line, so you can get to your Tsar of Russia, right? 7.2 trillion in gold.
I was right? Tsar Nicholas, Simeon Toko. You know all my reincarnations. If I were to tell you all of them, you'd be like, oh my God. Because
we can do a show just on all that too, and make a list. So we got 1 minute. I'm gonna close it out, and I'm just gonna say, you guys have heard a lot of testimony from Courtney, who is giving you her honest truth. She's not on drugs. She's
Yeah.
a lucid thinker. She's not drunk. She's clear. She's awake. She understands all the same conspiracies and racketeering that you do. And she's trying to wake the whole world up and save the earth and cleanse this place and make it so that it's an
Hmm.
inhabitable place for us that's not full of
Hmm.
poisons and racketeering. So
Hmm.
we're going to do more interviews with her. I'm going to do more, and we're going to start exposing more and more things. And in the meantime, what's your Cash App again?
It's $ Eternal Light 7.
And so send her some money. She needs help. She's getting persecuted. And thanks for watching the show. And there's more to come. All